Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
What up?
What up, dude?
You guys doing all right this morning?
Oh, yeah.
Better than all right.
We had all this talk about time machines.
No way.
Yesterday. Oh, well, now someone has to prove it.
Prove it. I've got a donut here, coffee, chocolate milk.
I got tonic water.
And I'm wearing a shirt. I'm wearing a shirt from one of my favorite fantasy leagues. One of the best ones. One of the coolest ones.
And I'm wearing a shirt from Dewey Beach.
Ooh, that's gonna be close.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mute because it's 6:01 a.m. and usually my sneezes come a little bit later than that.
This fantasy league, listen how cool this is, dude. It's not just your average charity league. It's the Roto Lounge Bourbon Bowl, right? Do you guys know what allocated bourbon is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically, do you, Joe?
Yeah. It's bourbon that's not been allocated.
Honestly, that's kind of right. So it's when they say allocated is so bourbon has to be at least 4 years old. A lot of it's 10 to 15 years old. So they really don't have enough of it for everybody. Right. So there's certain really special ones.
Is it bourbon shortage?
Well, kind of actually. So during COVID, a lot of people started collecting things. There was a little bit of a shortage. But long story short, they take the very special ones like the Pappy Van Winkles of the world, and they only let so many get distributed to each state, right? So not everybody gets to try them. But Brad Starks, who runs Roto Lounge, runs the Bourbon Bowl, he can get his hands on this kind of stuff. So what he decided to do was create a league for bourbon and fantasy football enthusiasts. That's a charity league where you jump in the league, a bunch of the money goes to charity, but he takes the rest of the money and he goes out and gets these allocated bourbons. A lot of times a bottle might cost $50, but it sells on the secondary market for like $300, $400, $500. And then the winners get this bourbon that they couldn't typically find, and a bunch of money goes to charity, and everybody has fun. So shout out Brad Stark, shout out Bourbon Bowl. Pretty cool idea, right?
Pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
Pretty cool idea.
So beat that, JL.
Beat that, JL. Everyone's showing off their shirts. I'm wearing a Christmas shirt today because I picked it out of my closet and was like, I can't wear that. It's not Christmas. And I was like, I can wear that shirt. I can wear whatever I want.
I thought that was a Balto shirt.
That sounded like something I remember, but I can't place at all.
Do you remember the old Disney cartoon movie about these snow dogs?
Dog. Yeah.
Dog.
Okay. So
dog.
Yeah, Balto's a dog.
Balto,
that was the one thing.
He delivers the medicine to the sick kid.
Wow. What a hero.
Yeah.
We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Joey down here saying, oh, look, it's forward hat, backwards hat, and no hat once again. What's up, Joey? Welcome in, my friend. And Brad over here saying, hey, fellas, how is it going? So you don't have to guess. It's 9:33 p.m. here in Australia. Well, good evening to you, Brad.
I don't believe it.
Hello, Brad.
Yeah.
That was offensive. I'm sorry.
It's been a while since Brad's been in the chat, dude.
I know. We've missed you, Brad.
We missed you, brother.
Good to see you, my friend.
9:33.
I know. We've had this discussion many times that it doesn't seem seem to add up, but it does. It 100% does.
We've been here
and a
before.
half hours, you're telling me he's ahead of me?
We've checked. He lives in the future. He's a time traveler.
Something with the international date line.
Honestly, that feels like years ago that we talked about that.
It was, you know what it was? It was the half hour that was throwing us off last time. Why is there an extra half hour? I know.
Half time zones?
It makes sense, actually.
Yeah, it does. It's been 100 episodes or so I cannot remember why, but it does make sense.
I forget who the player was, but I read a story yesterday about an athlete. I can't even remember the sport, who was told when he got off the plane, he was going to land a minute earlier than when it took off, right? He was leaving at 8 a.m. It was going to land at 7:59 a.m. And he said, I'm not getting in no time machine. And he got in a car and drove instead to his game. It was like his first time going on a plane where it was going to go backwards. And he said, nuh-uh, like that crosses the line. I am driving.
Not on my watch.
I'm not time traveling.
I mean,
you're not experimenting on me with that.
Sometimes you just got to play it safe, honestly.
And that's one of those times.
That's one of those times, dude. You can never be too careful.
We got Tommy in the chat this morning. What's up, Tommy? And Tommy comes in with his morning poem. Says, good morning, Big Blue. Now you have to just smile. You got the handsomest tight end I have seen in a while. So the Raiders lost Waller like Luke lost Kenobi. When striking, he's gone, but in walks Jacoby. Lazard to the Jets. Robinson is a Lion. Penny to the Bears. Colts cut Matt Ryan. Gilmore to the boys. Thomas stays a Saint. Teams are still dealing. Man, this is great. The Jets fans are dying. They are ready to blow. Hell, announce it today on that kicker show. What Rodgers is doing, it just ain't right. Plus, the Jets also just lost Mike effing White.
Mike effing White.
Yeah. We got a little bit of, as far as fantasy football goes, a spicier day yesterday, to say the least. No, boys? Is that not true?
Yeah. It was.
Which yesterday I went back to the dark ages for a little bit. I went back to a period of time without internet or cell reception. After the show ended yesterday, my internet went out again. Spectrum has been so very helpful throughout all of this. Not at all. But then while I'm sitting there working from my hotspot and know everything's good, all of a sudden nothing starts loading. Like my phone doesn't load. I can't call people. I can't text people. I can't message people. And after 20 minutes of this, I went into like full panic mode. And what I should have done was grab my keys and my computer and drive to a place that had reliable internet. But instead, in my panic, I grabbed my laptop, put my Crocs on, and I was just about to start running until I got cell reception. Because it was close to our stream and I wanted to call somebody like, hey, nothing's working. But luckily, right as I did that, my phone blew up with like 20 messages. Like I was about to take off.
Dude, you're in the dark ages.
You could have, dude, if you didn't get reception, you could have just Forrest Gumped it all the way across country.
You just keep going. Turns out it's actually just my phone is broken, so I keep running.
Just keep running
and running.
Hits the ocean, just keeps going.
Could happen,
Starts swimming.
That could happen.
It'll work eventually. Also, Brad in here said, for my honeymoon, we went to Hawaii. We left Australia 3:30 p.m. the 19th of October. And when we arrived in Honolulu, it was the 10:30 a.m. Sunday, the 19th of October.
Whoa.
So they went back from 3:30 to 10:30 a.m.
Time is an enigma.
That you went over. You risked going over the edge, dude.
I know.
You could end up in
You
space,
can go
bro.
too far. You go too far. You won't come back.
Don't come back now. Yeah, you gotta be
So
real
we got
careful.
Craig
with
in here. What's up, Craig? Says Simon doesn't recognize grimace emojis. I shouldn't be surprised. Typical oven mitt hater.
Pretty rude, dude.
Classic.
I recognize the Grimace emojis in the chat, dude. Shout out Grimace, dude. Shout out NKC Rules. What up, NKC?
What's
Good
up,
morning,
NKC?
brother.
NKC.
NKC's birds have been getting roughed up in free agency here. They've been getting dragged through the mud. They did bring a couple guys back, right? They got James Bradbury back, which is nice. They got Jason Kelsey decided to come back, and Brandon Graham decided to come back at age 34. But those are more like loyalty moves. As far as money moves, man, they lost TJ Edwards, killer. They lost Javon Hargrave, rough. So Eagles defense gonna be quite a bit different this year. That's for true.
Tyler Higbee.
For true.
Tyler Higbee signs. Team's gonna look a lot different.
Yeah, we still got to see what AJ Wade's all in shouts.
I only got Dalton Schultz out of that. That's the only thing I understood.
I saw a video.
Dalton Schultz.
Got to see what AJ Wade all in shouts, eh?
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to send you the video of one person, two people who like legitimately have that accent, that version of the British accent, and one of them has never read or seen Harry Potter, and the other one's explaining it to them. And at the very end, the guy goes, "Oh, so he's a real hero for true." He's a real hero for true.
He's a hero for true.
Isn't it true?
Hero, ain't it? Well, we get a point. What's United then?
And Craig coming in here, building off what you were saying, Coop, saying Kaiser White gone and Slay wants out as well.
Yeah, dude, I didn't realize how many good defensive backs in general they had, because like you have Slay, Bradbury, CJ, GJ, but Kaiser White is another guy that he's like a converted safety to linebacker, and he's just kind of a monster in coverage from the linebacker position. Like, no wonder this team was so good. And no wonder the moment other teams realized they were in cap trouble, they came swooping in. Like I think the two of the top like 5 guys to get signed were TJ Edwards and Javon Hargrave. So teams were just like, it's time. The vultures came swooping. They came swooping.
And CJGJ, for anybody listening, that is CJ Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, sorry about
that. No, you're good. I sometimes those acronyms get a little bit.
CJGJ.
Yeah, I went full Reddit niche mode on there with the acronyms.
Everyone deserves to know that acronym because it's so much fun to say.
It is a good one.
CJGJ.
CJGJ.
It's a pretty fun one.
Well, guys, it is that time of morning. We've already dipped our toes in with a little breakfast appetizer. We're going to get fully into breakfast right now. We got the news. We got the stories. You just got to bring your own breakfast. Coop already gave us a little sneak peek of what he had for breakfast. John Luke, you got anything on top of that tonic water?
Just tonic water.
Wow. What a filling breakfast. Bubbles for breakfast.
Bubbles for breakfast. Shout out anyone with RLS.
Who has what?
I said shout out anyone out there who's got RLS. Tonic water's the GOAT.
For restless leg syndrome?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Interesting.
What's your favorite brand of tonic water?
Don't have one. Canada Dry.
I would suggest Poland. That's the
country.
The one. Yeah.
Yeah, they got great. They got great.
Unrelated, I highly suggest Poland.
Great destination.
Yeah, really great.
It's good stuff. Oh, sorry, not Poland. Polar. That's the one that I like.
Man, you almost embarrassed the hell out of me. I would have walked into that grocery store. You have Poland? They're like,
Poland?
Be bad news for you. That's a country.
Warsaw. Yeah, no, Polar. That's what it is. Check it out. It's good stuff.
Polar.
Check it out.
Well, guys, I want to start off with something that Tommy mentioned in the chat, something I've been excited to talk to Coop about. One of my favorite players in the NFL, Darren Waller, was traded from the Las Vegas Raiders over to the New York Giants. Daniel Jones, new weapon in that offense, a new location, maybe with less competition for Darren Waller there in New York. What do you guys think about this landing spot?
Big trade.
For fantasy.
Big trade. I think that it revitalizes, put on the old tight end whisper real quick. It revitalizes Darren Waller's.
Where did that come from? We've done this show for 140 episodes. And
I just found it.
Got a hat that has tight end whisper, a Coop.
Ani Coop made that for me, and I couldn't find it for the longest time after I moved, but I just found it yesterday. So that will make many appearances. Look at that.
Ani Coop, we need a tight end Tinkler version.
Please shout out Ani Coop.
So Darren Waller, man,
like little hands on it like this.
he's always been a talented player, but when we really liked him was when he was getting like 15, 17, 19 targets. When he was the top target on the team, they didn't have other options. Then they brought in Hunter Renfrow, who really, honestly, you guys knew it because you went to Clemson, but most of us looked at this guy as he was a day 3 pick, not that crazy big, crazy fast, but he came in, earned his targets, right? And that hurts Waller. And then Devontae Adams comes in. That's crazy. Now they signed Jacoby Myers. It was looking pretty bleak. Instead, he gets traded to the Giants, where he's in the mix for the top target on the team. So honestly, that's when you look around, there's not many guys that are even a top 2 target, let alone in the mix for 1. Waller probably jumps back into the top 5 for guys in ADP unless they make major moves at the wide receiver position. And there's not really major options out there. So I think Darren Waller's looking good. The sad news, of course, Daniel Bellinger, a guy we kind of liked, he's going to be an inline tight end now, probably playing a lot like what Jonnu Smith is going to do for the Falcons. So kind of vaporizes his value. But you never know. I mean, long-term, Bellinger could be back. Waller's 30 years old, but he's definitely on the back burner, right?
I was going to say good news is I don't have to accidentally overdraft Daniel Bellinger based on how he's going into next season, which I 100% was going to be overdraft. Like it just with what Richie James and Darius Slayton. Sorry, Matt. No disrespect to Mr. Richie James.
Sterling Shepard.
Even Daniel Bellinger had a chance to be a top 2 target on that team with with the way that receiving core was. But now I can avoid that. I'm with you though. In Dynasty, it's your sort method. Start opportunity, roster talent. Daniel Bellinger, we saw the talent. In Dynasty, maybe with Waller coming over here, this is a time to go send some trade offers for Daniel Bellinger. See if you can throw him onto your back end of your Dynasty roster, wait until Waller retires and see what you got from the kid.
Yeah, you could probably, at this point, I would just wait and see. Because people will sit there and realize, like, oh, wait a second, I'm rostering a backup tight end. He'll probably hit waivers in a lot of leagues. So I would just slide him in there. And that's kind of how it goes during the season. Is people are like, wait a second, what am I
Bellinger?
doing?
You talk, yeah, you're trying to
For
start
Bellinger.
Bellinger.
Bellinger will hit waivers. Yeah, probably in a lot of leagues he will. Once people realize what his role is, and then you kind of slide him in there and hope he goes the Dallas Goedert route, where Dallas Goedert was the inline tight end. Zach Ertz ran out of the slot, played wide receiver, kind of capped his upside. Once Ertz left, now Goddard's got free reign. So that's kind of what you hope for Bellinger. Again, he's 7 years younger than Waller, so time is on his side.
Time is on his side. Time is undefeated.
Truth.
Yeah, this is interesting. This feels like I don't know that I'm confident enough to throw him in the top 5. It feels like there's some risk here. Primarily, I don't know how much that offense is going to pass. And then on top of that, I don't know how much of those passes are going to go through Darren Waller. He's going to be on a new team. All of the real success we've seen with Darren Waller came from when Derek Carr was under center. And so I'm a little concerned. I want to see him in this offense, I think, before I buy in. But if his draft cost goes too high, I might be out on Waller.
Yeah, I think that's fair because the thing with the difference between Waller and Kelsey and Andrews is that Kelsey and Andrews are established in their role and they have that floor that comes with it. Like we know they're going to be the top target or one of the top 2, whereas Waller, we're hoping that he is, but you're right.
He can be.
He can be,
right?
exactly.
And
so it's like,
I think that's the mishmash here that I can't figure out.
Exactly, where it's like range of outcomes is here, the entire range of outcomes. Andrews and Kelsey are living at the far end, and Waller has the entire range of outcomes. So if he starts going up where they're going, I'm with JL. That like you don't need to absorb that risk. So I'm with you on that. But if you can get him once those guys go, the for sure guys go, I'll take him before I settle for somebody that I know is going to be like the 3rd or 4th target on their team, right? So it's like if you can get him at the right price, do it, but be careful.
TJ Hawkinson or Darren Waller?
Hawkinson. Easy.
Because they cut Adam Thielen. So he's in, so it's and he was actually out targeting Thielen. Exactly. But again, we have to see what happens. At this very moment, if you're doing best ball drafts right now, it's got to be Hawk. But wait and see what they do with who they add too, because you never know. They could go in if they add Juju. Let's say they add Juju today. The Vikings do Hawkinson or Waller.
Still Hawkinson for me, and the difference is they made a bunch of decisions this past year that indicated they are in on Hawkinson. They want to use Hawkinson, that he has a role, and it's a very good role in this offense that's going to be passing a lot. Now Adam Thielen's gone. That's even more enticing than before. And so I'm actually, this is even a close comparison for me. It's Hawkinson far over those guys.
I'll give you one thing. One good thing for Hawkinson is the way they're building this offense is so there are certain situations that do allow for the top 3 guys on the team to get a ton of highly consolidated targets. And it's what we see with the 49ers, where it's Debo, it's Ayuk, it's Kittle, and then they use like Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, on a million snaps, and they use like second string tight ends. These guys aren't soaking up targets, which allows them to really go to the top 3 guys. The Vikings just went out. They already had CJ Ham as a fullback. They just went out and added Josh Oliver. Not only did they add him, but they paid him a ton of money, which tells us that he's going to play a ton of snaps as a blocking tight end. And I don't see Josh Oliver taking like 60, 70, 80 targets. Do you guys? So that's just more that gets funneled to Hawkinson. So he could honestly be the 3rd target on the team and still be in that, get the 90 targets we need. So I'm with you, JL. I'm in on Hawk. I think that's a good way to look at it.
He's in my top 3 or top 4. As of right now, if nothing else, I mean, things are going to change between now and the season. I don't think much is going to change for his situation unless they brought in a bunch of talent where he's going to have considerably more competition. It's hard to see many tight ends being in a better position going into next season. I'm taking him over Kittle, easy. Taking him over Goddard, Schultz, all those guys.
6:20 a.m. Simon, where you are. I'm putting you on the clock. You need a tight end right now. Kyle Kyle Pitts or TJ Hawkinson? Go.
TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
And it's maybe Kyle Pitts has higher upside. Like, truly, maybe he does. Maybe he is the higher upside option there. I'm not convinced of that. Like, I would take an argument that TJ Hawkinson even has higher upside, given what we saw from him in that offense last year. But there's just so much more safety, I feel like, with that Hawkinson pick than there is with that Pitts pick, just given the state of the Falcons offense.
If the Falcons got Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, then we would then
maybe I'd say Pitts. It'd be close.
A different story. Yeah. They didn't even get Jimmy G. Like they're
I think it would still be a conversation though.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I'm with you guys. It definitely would be more of a conversation.
Well, that's the thing is this time of year, we did this last year too, where we sit back and we're like, there's so many good tight ends. And then as free agency winds down,
and then this past season happened, it was tight end hell, the tight end apocalypse.
I know.
Yeah, because you got freaking Billy B just taking viable tight ends and just putting them on the bench.
He's drafting another tight end, by the way. He's going to bury somebody behind. He traded Johnny. He's going to bury somebody behind Hunter Henry. I guarantee.
I feel like he just does it out of spite.
He was bullied by a tight end in high school, and so he just takes him and buries him on his depth chart.
Yeah. See but it's like we said it last year, and free agency just started, and the draft hasn't happened, and that's when it's like things come in. Like at this time of year, and we loved Dallas Goedert, and then AJ Brown got traded to the Eagles, and then we're like, okay, he went from being somebody that was like locked in top 2 target to being a top 3, and he's still a good pick, but there's still cold water to be poured on some of these situations, no question about it.
Absolutely. Joey down here said Hawk was the tight end 2 weeks 9 through 17, which is when he arrived in Minnesota. They love him.
Love that. And he was getting the targets, and he was still getting used to Kirk Cousins. Just imagine when they truly get on the same page, because he wasn't even fully capitalizing on those targets, I don't think. And I think this year he will.
Unbelievable.
Big time, baby. Big time.
In that trade for Darren Waller, it was to the Raiders. And Coop, you mentioned the Raiders traded for another player, or signed another player, I should say, wide receiver Jacoby Myers, formerly of the New England Patriots, which my instant reaction for this, and maybe one of you guys can talk me off the ledge, is this seems like a very bad thing for Hunter Renfro's immediate fantasy value that Jacoby Myers was added into this offense.
I'll take it a step further. Dumb. I think this one is dumb. And we've seen it. Any team would have done it. I think it would have been a bad move, like overpay. And honestly, he didn't get paid that much. I think teams are figuring it out. But a lot of these undrafted free agents from New England leave New England, and guess what? Turns out that they were good because they were playing with one of the greatest coaches of all time. You know what I mean? Like Malcolm Butler, J.C. Jackson. Well, where are those guys, dude? Like, what's going on? What happened with those guys? Like, I think people looked at this and realized, like, maybe this guy is very good in this specific scheme. Good thing is he landed with a guy that knows him, but the whole Josh McDaniel seems to just be taking everything he ever disagreed with Bill Belichick on and making that his entire game plan, right? Jimmy G and Jacoby Myers. I don't know if that's how I would approach it. And now you got 200 Renfros, and you trade away Darren Waller. I don't know if that's better. Is that better?
What's better, 200 Renfros or 100 Renfro and a Darren Waller?
I gotta want the. How about even just for variety's sake? Give me the
200 Renfros walk into a bar. One Darren Waller comes out.
Yeah. Seriously though, I mean, like it is crazy. They are like the same. Hunter and Jacoby. I mean, it could work. It's gonna be a nightmare for slot corners for sure. But it's going to put a lot of pressure.
Slot. They just get LMFAO to do all of their pregame warm-ups, just out there going slots. That was one of the more fun concerts that I accidentally went to. They opened for another band I went to go see, and it was insane for 40 minutes. Like absurd what they were doing on that stage.
I bet that was electric, dude. But I mean, it's going to put I feel like it's going to put a lot of pressure on Devonta Adams. Shout out to Kevin Tompkins, who came in and he goes, Devonta Adams split end era, where he's the only big guy they got now. So he's going to be playing a lot outside with his foot tethered to the line. I mean, he was already facing the top corner, but a lot of pressure on Devonta Adams now, right?
If you put a lot of pressure on one wide receiver to perform, though, Devontae Adams
He's
has
the guy.
got to be near the best one to put that pressure on, right?
He wants the smoke. He wants that too, right?
Exactly.
He wants 180 targets.
And he'll do something with it. With their signing of Jimmy G, I was hesitant towards Devontae Adams, but I'm gonna probably draft him just like I drafted him last year now. I think Jimmy G's competent enough that it's not going to change my outlook on Devontae Adams, especially with Darren Waller gone. Just dude's a top 3, probably wide receiver. I haven't done my 2023 rankings yet, but
yeah, it's an upgrade for the entire Raiders offense in my mind. Not a massive upgrade, but it's an upgrade from Derek
to
Carr.
Jimmy G or Jacoby Myers.
To Jimmy G, yeah.
I think I disagree a little bit. I think Derek Carr, it's like negligible, I think, probably. But I think Derek Carr's probably a slightly better quarterback.
I think the consensus is with you, Simon.
I can't get one take out of my head, which is my favorite one, is they switched from Derek Carr to handsome Derek Carr. That's the best one, I think. And that's kind of how I feel about it a little bit, you know. But at the same time, there's a lot that goes into the quarterback position. And having a quarterback that played in your offensive coordinator system for multiple years, there's something to be said for that. So I think that if you think that skill-wise they're on the same level, maybe it's a little bonus that you got a guy that is intricately familiar with what they do.
I'm offended at the implication that Derek Carr isn't handsome.
Oh yeah, that's Simon chose his most handsome.
Different kind of handsome.
Darren
He was
Waller
at least in the running.
most handsome.
He was at least in the running. And
He was in the
top
running
3 for you.
He made the list. Okay, he was available to be voted on. He was nominated.
You shouldn't have, you dirty boy.
A different kind of handsome, for sure.
Just like a bad boy, okay, with eyeliner and a little bit of emotional distress.
This is your equivalent
Let me
to,
fix
to,
you,
Le-
Derek
to
Carr.
Leanne's ponytail thing.
Exactly.
When I was a young boy, my father. That's the Derek Carr musical is back, dude. Took me into the city.
Another big signing we saw yesterday. Some interesting. Everybody waiting for the Aaron Rodgers news, and he's just sitting there giving us other news. We got Allen Lazard, 4-year, $44 million deal to the Jets.
Goodness.
One by one. Aaron's getting his wish list. He apparently he gave a list of players to the Jets that he wanted them to draft, sign, including Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Mercedes Lewis, and Odell Beckham Jr., if I'm remembering all the names properly. So they got one. They got Lazard. And I guess this probably means, like you said yesterday, Coop, I would imagine Corey Davis is likely a cut at this point. And then Allen Lazard, if Aaron Rodgers goes there, it's going to be exactly the same as it was last year. It does feel very similar, doesn't it? Just with maybe a Garrett Wilson added into the mix.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about it a bit yesterday, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
I was on
the
show.
Hypothetical of it. Yeah.
The hypothetical of Allen Lazard going to that team. Yeah.
The list is longer than what you said. I bet like Jordy Nelson and Jeff Janis and Jake Kumaro were all on that list too. Just
oh yeah,
all the
Graham.
boys. James Jones, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver. Just get the
Jake
band.
Sternberger.
Yeah, Jason.
You're going too fast. I want to play, but you keep taking the ones I'm going to say.
That's the deal breaker right there, Jo. It's Jace or no deal. I heard a awesome conspiracy theory. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll save it for the next segment. The Aaron Rodgers conspiracy theory I have. I think I will.
Okay.
Well, because we're doing conspiracy theories with the next segment, are we not?
We maybe we are.
Ooh, conspiracy. We might not do the next segment.
The conspiracy of the disappearing segments. It does happen from time to time. Up next, we're doing vague descriptions. Welcome back in, guys. We're talking free agents. Really, what we're doing is we're just gaslighting the entire audience. We're just making them think they made stuff up in there. I just could have sworn.
Sometimes we do accidentally do that. Where, like earlier in the show, you'd be like, "This is coming up," and then we never get to it.
Dude, the funniest part is that we did do that with this conspiracy. We said we were going to talk conspiracy theories, and then we pulled it because Simon's internet cut out. So that's actually the conspiracy theory. That's not even a conspiracy theory. That happened with this segment already. So may or may not get to that. So just look out.
It's definitely happening, without a doubt, 100%, just like last time.
Yep, absolutely. Other big news. I think this is probably for fantasy relevant moves yesterday. This is probably the biggest one. David Montgomery was signed to the Bears, and not only was he signed from the Bears to the Lions. Not only was he signed to the Lions, but he got a pretty big contract. 11 million guaranteed is a lot for a running back. It's like, I think it was like 3 years, 20-something $million. That is, as far as landing spots go, Jacoby Myers to the Raiders and David Montgomery to the Lions was not a prediction. It wouldn't have been even in my top 15 landing spots for those players, right?
Yeah. Especially this David Montgomery one. It was a little bit confusing to me.
A little bit confusing is to say that is an understatement of the year. I am baffled by this.
How long was the deal for?
I think it's 3 years, 18 million, and that's 11 million guaranteed. And he has a bunch of incentives that can push it above 20 million.
Okay.
That was what I last saw now, which is
Gotcha.
quite a bit of money. And because the whole narrative was, can they afford to bring back Jamal Williams, who they like, and does that early down role? Turns out they probably could have.
Yeah, this is interesting. I don't know that I hate it though. From like a strategic perspective, David Montgomery feels like a pretty good complement to DeAndre Swift, like his skill set. They both are a bit probably overpowered to be in a complementary set like that. But I don't think that's necessarily bad for the Lions to have two overpowered weapons.
I don't think David Montgomery is bad for the Lions. I think they could have gotten a similar result with spending much less money on a different change of pace back, I think is all. Yeah. But like, of course, David Montgomery is a good running back. So it'll be good there. I did think it was interesting because at the same time as this report, we were getting reports yesterday that Jamal Williams and the Lions were very far off on a deal. So it makes me think Jamal Williams is expecting more than this, that he wants to sign a deal for more than this contract's worth.
He's like, Deshaun got a guaranteed contract. I want to get 230 mil guaranteed.
He's like 17 effing rushing touchdowns last year. Guaranteed me $1 million for each, baby.
That's the spot for it. Yeah.
He's just holding Dan Campbell hostage, emotionally hostage.
And Jay, you're right that it is great for the Lions from a real football perspective. I think a lot of us just look at it from fantasy football and say, this is dumb because I don't like it. It hurts both the values of both players.
Yeah. For fantasy, for sure. I see that impact. But I think from a strategic perspective, I mean, Lions aren't making decisions based off fantasy. So I think from a football perspective, it's not necessarily a bad one.
I'll tell you right now, go out and get David Montgomery because they're committing to David Montgomery. And I wouldn't be surprised if they turned around and said, hey, because DeAndre Swift is on the last year of his contract, which makes this the last time you can trade that guy before you just let him walk away. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them turn around and maybe put him on the trade block and say
the evidence to support that is we were getting reports from a couple months ago about Dan Campbell not being necessarily committed fully to DeAndre Swift. So this isn't out of nowhere.
Ooh,
it's out of somewhere. It's out of somewhere, but not out of nowhere.
People were saying that Deuce Staley leaving was good for DeAndre Swift, but maybe Deuce Staley was the guy protecting Swift all along. And now that Deuce Staley's gone,
it's the deuces we made along the way.
And maybe now that Deuce Staley is gone, maybe DeAndre Swift ends up going to play with Deuce Staley and his new team. Do you guys remember where he ended up?
Panthers.
Yeah. What? Panthers. Is there a running back spot available on that team? Are we already doing the conspiracy theory segment?
Whoa! Everything we
Christian McCaffrey never left.
The ghost of Christian McCaffrey is the RB1 in Carolina. They're better off just dropping the ball than handing it to any of the running backs on their roster. Nice. Who's under contract at running back for the Panthers? Is it just Chuba Hubbard?
No, they have somebody else too.
Because Foreman's a free agent, right?
Yeah, they have Raheem Blackshear also under contract.
He got some snaps this year. He got some playing
time.
Time.
He mixed in a little bit, but again, I think he's an undrafted free agent. So if DeAndre Swift would immediately be the every down back on that team, put it that way.
Yeah. Now with the exit of David Montgomery from the Bears did sign another running back. Not a big splashy one, though. They signed former Seahawks running back Travis Homer to a 2-year deal worth a max of $4.5 million. This comes per his agent, Spencer Canold. You think this signals positive or a positive signal for Khalil Herbert, a signing like Travis Homer? Are they done adding running backs after this, or is this a preemptive move, just some depth on the chart?
I think this is a depth move. I think they'll likely target a running back, but I also don't think they necessarily need to. The moves they're making tells me this GM is competent. I think, though, if worst comes to worst, they will fill in that running back position. Otherwise, my guess is the strategy they're taking is see what comes to us, see what becomes available, either in the draft or free agency. But I don't think necessarily that's the most important role for them to fill.
Tommy down here saying Austin Eckler going to Bear.
Going to Bear.
Bear.
Coop. Bear. That's a command.
That was more
so
of a,
good.
that was more of a
Bear
pirate
snarl.
Oh, for sure.
they just
Without
roar.
a doubt.
That was like you tried to sneak in their cave during hibernation. Snarl.
And snuggle.
Yeah.
No snuggling.
They have to have the turn and the look of shock on their face as you awoke them.
Right. Well, that's why I had one eye shut.
Of course. It's the eye shut that makes all
That's
the
a rabies. It really does turn bear into like rabies bear.
Also, I saw Tommy down in the chat earlier asking Dorsett and Jacoby to the Raiders. We talked a bit about Jacoby Dorsett over there as well. Now, Jimmy G got added. Josh McDaniels, of course, former Patriots offensive coordinator. Coop, you a Raiders fan now? New England West?
New England West, dude. It didn't work for us. Maybe it can work for them. That's my same thought with I tweeted that on the Packers. It's like the Packers couldn't win in Green Bay, but maybe they can win in New York.
Maybe they just might.
They just might, dude. It's like the Jets looked at Aaron Rodgers and Alan Lazard getting knocked out in the first or second round of the playoffs like 6 years in a row, and they were like, "That's what we need here."
Or Robert Saleh looks at the coaching over there and goes, "I can do better.
We can do better.
Yeah, we can do better." You know what I mean? Like it's a slight.
But then they brought Nathaniel Hackett over to the offense coordinator. So even that is like, it's like, well, we can improve that. We'll take that. We'll take it all. Yeah.
He's got to rein them in. They're the salt and pepper, the egg and whatever the opposite of an egg is, but it goes with it well.
Pancake?
The egg and pancake.
The egg and pancake, dude.
Nailed it.
Yin and yang, egg and
Yin and
pancake.
yang. We are expecting some more insights, some more news on this Aaron Rodgers situation on the Pat McAfee show today. He tweeted out, tell a friend, do a friend, or something like that, to hint at that there will be some news. Because Aaron Rodgers will be on his show later today. You guys think he'll reveal it on there?
No, I would bet $1 million that he's going to reveal something else. Like
Yeah.
I think we're almost.
He loves
there.
this.
I think we are approaching the climax. Okay, like we are approaching the climax of this
He
saga.
needs a little more so he can get there.
Exactly. He's edging us before he goes and throws out the big news right there. He's just trying to like get us a little more excited. Like you're telling me he's getting the entire NFL world to tune into Pat McAfee. He's not telling us. He's gonna drop it in then he's gonna like tweet it out 4 days later or something like that.
I don't know though. He might. He loves Pat McAfee. I wonder if this makes a lot of the insiders mad. They're like, "Oh, come back, McAfee! Stop taking my news."
I mean, Rappaport and Schefter are like planning to like take down McAfee.
They're hand holding their announcement. They're just waiting for it.
They show up and there's just clipboards hanging on the door that says "Watch your back."
This is the new era, man. Like the players can tell whoever they want, so maybe they just start taking the power back. You see, Brandon Marshall's already campaigning for that, and when you see Brandon Marshall and his like demeanor and his smile, it's hard not to. I just want to be like, let him break the news.
Come on, Aaron.
Come on, look at this guy.
Brandon Marshall tweeting out the retirement congratulations to Aaron Rodgers was phenomenal. Whenever he just saw the first couple seconds of that video, I was like, oh shoot, he retired.
Oh yeah.
I loved that. Dustin down here saying, morning, fellas. What's up, Dustin? Welcome in, my Buffalo Billion friend.
Buffalo Billion.
Glad to have you here.
Billion.
Another sign we got yesterday, Rashad Penny to the Eagles.
Ooh.
This feels like a good deal for the Eagles and a big old trap for fantasy manager.
100%, dude. 100%. They had Miles Sanders, who is one of like 6 dudes that has over 400 carries and still has an over 5 yard per carry career average. Like we're talking Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, and the other one is Gus Edwards, which is ridiculous. But anyway, and Tony Pollard joined the list this year. So that, like, you take a guy like that who has good yards per carry, but Jalen Hurts steals the touchdowns and Miles Sanders doesn't get very many receptions, and you replace him with a guy who essentially is the same thing except a little bit worse in passing. Like Rashad Penny's never caught more than 10 passes in the season. Never has double-digit receptions. That's in 5 seasons now. So he's basically just Miles Sanders light, if you ask me. I don't know why everyone's super excited about that. But
Dude, him going on that run was the most Rashad Penny thing he could have done.
Yeah.
The guy has just been an anomaly the whole time. It just feels like it's always going to be the opposite of whatever you think with Rashad Penny.
He's a bit Sammy Watkins-esque, but at the running back position. Like you believe it falls down, and then he comes out, blows up in a game where no one started him, and you're like, oh, I see it. That's why I roster him. That's why I draft him. And then you do it again, and then nothing. You'll start him, he'll get 2.7 points for you.
I think he has he has the talent, which is the tough part, which is why he's so
enticing.
It's so easy to be tricked by it because, man, when he flashes, he goes. But we just haven't seen it consistently. I'm not spending up for Rashad Penny in the Eagles offense. I'll let my league mates take that move.
Now, I'm not sure you're going to have to spend up because I didn't have to spend up for Miles Sanders this year. I didn't have to spend up for Miles Sanders last year. People did not want to draft Miles Sanders, right? Know what I mean? And I think the negative feelings towards Miles Sanders are even greater towards Rashad Penny. So I might be drafting a lot of Rashad Penny if I can get him down towards like back end RB2 range. Because when he plays, I think he's going to be good in that offense. Of course, touchdown upside is limited being in that Jalen Hurts led Eagles offense, but I am maybe not as pessimistic as some other people. I'm expecting Miles Sanders light, and I mean that in a good way because I think you're going to be paying less than Miles Sanders light draft prices to get him.
I think what I'm going to be doing with him is if I would play it in any standard leagues, I would be very interested because that's the best format for this type guy. And I think I'm going to be interested in best ball. Underdog is like half PPR, and you get the big long touchdown runs and all that stuff without the bad weeks. In redraft, like Simon kind of alludes to, if he slides far enough, I'll be interested. But it hurts so bad when Jalen Hurts decides to take it himself, and he had the second most goal line carries behind only Jamal Williams. So he's going to be doing quite a bit of that.
Yeah. It's going to be so annoying.
It will be annoying. Annoying. At the same time, he's going to, like, when you look at the end of season stats for this player, it's going to look good, right?
Yeah.
Like he's going to have touchdowns. He's going to have like a 70-yard run at some point, maybe even a couple does because he's capable of that. So
it's going to ruin his yards per carry stat.
Best ball is a place where I think is a good place for him to live.
That's a good point.
I think Chicago's a pretty good place for him to live. The city, just as a whole, not talking football anymore.
And then he commutes to
kind of a long
Philadelphia
for work. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant Philadelphia the whole time. I thought Philly said Chicago. It's the pig death incident all over again.
Yeah, Chicago's a nice city.
Yeah, that's it. So there's some other signings. Miami, we've been talking about that as a landing spot for running backs all offseason. They kind of diluted it a little bit by bringing back both their running backs, which makes sense for them. It was a good 1-2 punch of Jeff Wilson on early downs, Raheem Mostert in space, but I wanted to see them just trade up and get Bijan Robinson, and that would
watch them do it anyways. And then Bijan's in an offense with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, which is probably by the end of the season, I think Bijan's good enough that we see him take over. But it would be still draft him. would be an annoying first 3 weeks while they pretended like the vets had to have the snaps. While they were like, figure out if Bijan's better. That would be an annoying process.
I see Dustin in the chat said, "Morning, fellas. What up, Dustin? Welcome in, my friend."
Deja vu.
I will say Mike McDaniel, some of these younger coaches, I think it's always an old coach mentality to be like, there's a pecking order here, son, and the veterans get first, and you've got to carry the pads out to practice for 2 days. Like, that's such a old timey coach, you know. Like,
yes, sir, Coach Peterson.
Yes, sir, Coach Mudge Peterson. Water's for cowards.
But then there's coaches like Pete Carroll who are old. Pete Carroll's like old as hell, but he's out there and he's like, I don't care if I drafted you first round, 7th round. I'm putting whoever the hell I want out on the field.
Pete Carroll's
crazy Pete.
Pete Carroll's an anomaly, dude. Pete Carroll's he's the youngest coach in the league, if you ask me, dude. The way he just like gum chewing and riding around on scooters. Like,
so he chooses who starts is who will take the gum out of his mouth and chew it too.
He's young at heart, like spaghetti style. Lady and the Tramp in it. But Mike McDaniel,
he doesn't like tossing the bouquet at the wedding. He says, "Okay, all the running backs now," and all the running backs stand behind him, and he goes and just spits the gum in the air, and whoever catches it in their mouth.
Kenneth Walker's like, "No, mine."
But Mike McDaniel, like he is like a GM nightmare, right? Like the GM last year was like, "We're gonna franchise tag Mike Gesicki," and he's like, "Nah, I'm not using that."
French tag.
Like, the franchise.
We're using our French tag.
Using our French tag. Oh, Jean m'appelle Gesicki.
Mine.
So they franchise Gesicki. And now I can't say it. Right, I can't say it. They bring Mike Gesicki Baguette and Mike McDaniel decides not to use him at all, right? And then they sign Chase Edmonds, and he's immediately like, get this guy out of my sight. Like, just get him off the team. And they also signed Cedric Wilson to a big contract. I didn't even see Cedric Wilson. I can't even remember seeing Cedric Wilson last year. Like, Mike McDaniel, he was probably a huge nightmare for that GM, but at the same time, he's willing to start whoever deserves it. Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert weren't even on the team until like halfway through the year.
I feel like he thinks he's on that MTV dating show from the early 2000s, Next. And every time the GM sends in a new running back, he's like, next. And the GM, like the player walks out and the GM's like, you can't. He's like, I said next.
I said next. That's the show.
Right,
not on the show.
I can't take it back. We got Ryan McDowell in the chat saying, morning, boys. What's up, Ryan?
What up, Ryan? Hey. Welcome in. Good morning, my friend.
McDowell, Ryan, thank you for jumping in, dude. And thank you the other day for ruining my Friday night. We were like hanging out in a chat, and I'm writing my Texans article, and I'm like through half of it. Just finished the wide receivers, and he pops in. He's like, "Oh, did you see they signed Robert Woods?" I was like, "What?
Delete.
What?" I was like, "What?" I was like, so all these guys aren't buys anymore, like I had them. I literally just had to delete the whole thing. So really appreciate you doing that, Ryan. That was great.
I see Gray as his avatar picture. His son, Grayson, who I'll never forget. First time Ryan and I are on our call, we're sitting there talking. All of a sudden, his lights go out because his son came in, turned out the lights on him, and then dipped.
Yeah.
You're done in here.
Shout out.
I was like, that is my new favorite prank. I now do that to everyone I see.
Yeah. Let us know when Fancy Sock Day is this year again. I like that. That was fun last year. I get something crazy going this year.
Oh man, I just got some. I got some new good socks, and I'm forgetting what they said. So ignore that I even said that. Now this is stupid.
And I got socks.
Spoiler: conspiracy theory. Very cool.
Simon has feet. That's the conspiracy theory.
I've never seen them. I
have.
Additional news before we get to the Daily Weddle. We saw some quarterbacks move around, veteran quarterbacks that are likely to be backups. We saw Taylor Heineke go to the Falcons, which Desmond Ridder is the guy there. Ryan popping in the chat. Next Tuesday is Crazy Sock Day. Nice.
Yes.
Woo! Let's go, baby.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a new pair.
Yeah, I think we should all have crazy socks for next Tuesday.
I'm going to the sock store at the mall is what I'm doing.
Let's make a pact right here, right now. We're all going to show up next Tuesday with crazy socks. And we're going to show our feet on the stream.
And we're going to show our feet on the stream. So tell your friends, everyone, next Tuesday, the boys are doing a feet reveal.
The YouTube bots are gonna be flying
The
around. For that
moment
one.
I know everyone's been waiting for the FYF foot reveal. It's coming.
It's going.
Feet on 3. 1, 2, 3. Feet.
Feet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a good show this is.
Oh, fantastic.
So Taylor Heineke going to be back up with Desmond Ritter. Puts a little bit of heat on Ritter to perform. Leash is a little bit shorter when they got another guy there, and the fans know that guy's name, right? And we're willing to chant it if need
His
be.
name is Taylor Heineke.
Right. Then we saw another one with the team that has the first overall pick now, the Carolina Panthers. They brought in veteran Andy Dalton, which I think is a smart move to bring in a veteran to help train up your young QB, whoever they draft in the first round. So what do you guys think about those moves?
I think they both make sense. Taylor Heineke is the perfect level of competence to put behind a guy like Desmond Ritter, who maybe they're not sure about yet. I don't think it's like the quarterback that everybody's going to be clamoring for immediately. It's not. If it was Gardner Minshew, you know what I mean? He's got that appeal to the fans where people are going to go crazy if Ritter doesn't look good right away. I think that urgency from the fans and pressure from the media is going to be lower with Taylor Heineke, but it does give them a safety net if things don't work out with Ritter. We saw Taylor Heineke as a starter, and he is serviceable. So I think serviceable is the exact level that the Falcons needed. Even a step higher than serviceable, I think would have been detrimental to Desmond Ritter's development, just because like how rough is it as a rookie learning quarterback or second-year quarterback watching the entire fan base chant for Gardner Minshew on the bench behind you, right? Like that's going to hurt. So I like that one. And then the Panthers one, I think makes a ton of sense as well. Andy Dalton's not just a veteran. Dude has playoff experience, albeit losing playoff experience multiple times. He's been the starting quarterback for multiple NFL teams. I like it. Come in and teach Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson the ropes.
Marie in the chat said, yeah, it's something when JL runs in while you're in the bathroom and turns out the lights. Gets there every time.
Here's the secret. Use the bathroom with the lights off, and then he can't get you.
That no one can
There
get
you
you.
go.
Though if you turned them on while I was in there with the lights off, you would get an immediate.
Oh,
You
sorry,
go-
didn't know you were in there.
So you go
I'm
full
butt naked,
pants.
just sitting on the toilet.
I was gonna say you go full pants off, lights off, facing the other way. I think you said you read.
I never said I combined lights off. Okay, I just need to clear something up. Facing the other way is not my normal. That is not
That's not-
standard. Have I tried it? Of course I've tried it.
That's for it's more
Don't be
special
ridiculous.
special occasions.
Do I need a good angle? Like then I sit that way. Otherwise, we're not. Dustin in the chat said, you can do the hard weddle today.
Ooh, I
thank you,
like when
Dustin.
we have permission to do the hard weddle.
Thank you,
Let's get
Dustin.
in there. Should we get in there and do it? We're gonna be talking free agents all day. We're talking a little football.
Let's get in there and do the Weddle game. For those of you who have not played this with us before, you can head to weddlegame.com and play along. It's a lot like the popular word game Wordle, but instead of guessing 5-letter words, we are guessing NFL players. Each time we make a guess, it'll reveal a little bit of information, like if their team is correct, if their division's correct, their height, their number. I was trying to think of other things it gives, and that's about it. Coop,
That's it.
what name are we starting with today?
Let's see. We're trying to avoid guys that change teams, I think, right?
Or we can just
Yeah.
remember their old team.
Let's start with a guy that
It'll put their team in there. Like it'll tell us what team they have for it.
let's start with a guy who stayed put. And I wanted to mention him a little bit. Boston Scott. Let's get him in there. And the Eagles, they actually, I will say, they did a really good job of filling out their backfield for very cheap. They have now Rashad Penny as a starter. And did you guys see what the contract was? It's like
No.
1.4 million. So he signed for like next to nothing. I think it's like $600K guaranteed. So they got him super cheap to start, and then they'll have Kenneth Gainwell on pass downs, Boston Scott on rundowns. Honestly, it's a pretty good setup for if you're strapped for cash. That's great, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
Tim down here said, hot damn, got it in too. Feels good, doesn't it,
Whoa.
Tim? Feels good.
Ooh,
Also,
Tim
Tim,
yesterday.
shout out Tim, got a sick new tattoo.
Did he?
Saw pictures
Dude, I
of
haven't
it.
seen it.
It
Send me a
is-
picture.
Call
It
in,
is
dude.
So freaking cool.
Call in
Just
with the
got it
video
over the
capability.
weekend.
That's the beauty of this god dang app we use here, the Better Sports app. you can call in, show off your tattoos.
I will say he probably doesn't want
Show
to
your
show it off
feet.
right now because it is in the heavy peeling stage, so it wouldn't be
Okay.
appealing to come on.
Ooh, wouldn't be appealing. It would be appealing. But it wouldn't be appealing.
Where are we going after this? So the information we know is that they are in the NFC, but not the East. They're not a running back. They're much taller than 5'6". Their age is a little older than 27, so 28 or 29, and their number is much lower than 35. So we're looking for an NFC not running back, much taller than 5'6". It really could be anyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys.
Slightly older, so
there's not a lot of tight ends that have single digit or numbers in the teens.
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans is number 13.
That works.
Oh, that works. That works.
He
Yeah,
fits
get him in
all the criteria. That doesn't mean he's right, but okay. So wide receiver is correct. Age is correct. NFC South is wrong. And now we know this player is somewhere between 5'9" and 6'2".
Okay.
So they're in NFC West
North?
or North.
The NFC West.
And their number is 10 or lower. So we have a person whose number is most likely single digits, but could be 10. You thinking QB?
No, it's a wide receiver.
Oh, we thinking wide receiver?
We're thinking wide receiver for sure.
I'm thinking maybe.
Definitely wide receiver.
29-year-old wide receiver in the West or North?
West or North? We're talking Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, Vikings,
Cooper
Rams, San
Kupp.
Francisco, Arizona, or Seattle.
There's not really a lot of older wide receivers in the North.
Cooper Kupp. That's West.
He's in the West. Yeah, that's a good one, though. I think that's a great one.
He's got to be
He's
about
30 yet?
29. Right?
He's
And
And
then
number-
I think he
what-
turns 30 this year. He's not 30 yet.
what's his number?
What's his number?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Can we throw it in there? It'll eliminate
Yes,
a
get it
division
go.
at the
Okay.
very least. Oh, it was Cooper Kupp.
It is
baby.
Cooper
Oh,
Kupp.
we got it.
Hey,
Cooper Kupp, come on down to Weddletown. Your chicken tenders are ready.
With your extra side of fries.
Yeehaw! Coming up next on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show, we have conspiracy or no conspiracy. We're going to play some vague descriptions, and then our friend Bob Harris is coming on to play some Texas Rangers with us. And right after that, trade daddy himself, Alex Korf, peaked in high school, is coming on to talk some trade values. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
As a longtime baseball fan, here's my message to other baseball fans, to steal a line from the Packers' future Hall of Fame quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. Everyone needs to relax after what we saw this past weekend as spring training games out in Arizona and down in Florida got going, and we're inching closer and closer to Major League Baseball opening day. The rule changes in Major League Baseball is not for myself. It's not for you out there, the hardened baseball fan, whether you're a fan 5, 10, 15, 30, or even 50 years from all around this great country. It's not for those that are going to be locked in. It's for trying to generate more fans. So if they want the pitcher to go out there and work in rhythm with a guy on base, begin the windup within 20 seconds, nobody on base, begin the windup within 15 seconds, or have the batter make sure that he's back in the batter's box within 8 seconds, then making the base pass first, second, and third bigger, eliminating the shift. All of this is to make the game better. We've seen leagues, whether it be the National Football League, do they get to the same league as it is today in 2023, or what we saw in 2022 as it was 30 years ago? No, it's not. Is NBA basketball the same? No. How many games do you see being played? 83-79 finals. You don't see that at all. So every league adjusts to try and bring what? More fans into the sport. And that is something that Major League Baseball is going out there and trying to do. I've been critical at times of Rob Manfred, whether or not as a MLB commissioner, whether he likes the sport based on some of the rhetoric that he has spewed in years gone by. But I got to be honest with you, as a longtime baseball fan, I've been a Yankee fan my entire life. Watched a ton of Met games here in the tri-state area. Watched baseball all around. Can't wait for October baseball. Think it's absolutely unbelievable what is transpiring now and what's happening now, and the rule changes being brought about baseball. It's going to bring back to the game to when I became a fan, where the stolen base was something, moving guys over was something, having men on base, batting averages ascending, not being an all or nothing league where either you're striking out or hitting the ball over the fence. And that is what baseball is trying to do. So as everybody tries to adjust, and change is difficult, whether you're changing your diet, exercise routine, changing your relationships, changing a job, change is different. I get that. And it's hard. But let's take a step back. Let's understand what Major League Baseball is trying to do here. And they're trying to repopulate or repopularize the sport. That's what they're trying to do. They're clearly the third most popular sport in the United States. They want to make it less regionalized. This is the way they need to go about doing it. I'm all for it. For more content like this, download the Bettor Sports Network app or go to bettorsports.com.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We're about to get into a new segment we call Conspiracy or No Conspiracy. I'm excited for this one, guys. We're going to bring conspiracy theories to dissect and ultimately determine whether it's big facts or big baloney. You guys got some conspiracy theories ready? Oh, and Jail. My conspiracy theory is that Jail's voice was stolen by Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Wrong.
Again.
Damn it. Okay, we've busted. Myth
Yeah,
busted.
he just got it back. Ursula's controlling him. Let him borrow it for a little bit. That's my conspiracy theory.
Tim said, "Why am I not here for this one?" Call in,
Call
Tim.
in, dude.
Yeah,
Call in right
we
now.
need you. Bring us a conspiracy theory.
Anyone out there, if you have a conspiracy theory, call in. If you want to call in next Tuesday,
Not
show us
anyone
your
with a
feet.
conspiracy theory. I
Yeah.
just want to put that out there.
No. I say anyone. The crazier the better. If you're an unhinged lunatic of random YouTube and you're just finding this channel because we said conspiracy, please call in. Please call in.
Yeah,
Good
talk
luck
to
finding
Keith.
out how.
Especially you guys. Yeah.
We won't bring you on.
Download the
We
Bettor
just
Sports app.
We just want to inundate Keith with people that he has to deal with.
All right,
Yes,
so
please.
I got one.
Call in. Ask for Keith.
Have you guys heard of the "Birds Aren't Real" movement?
I have.
You have.
I've seen the subreddit.
I've never looked
but
into
I
it.
never really
I've seen,
understood. I never really understood the why. The why.
I've seen
So-
shirts. Jay brings it up from time to time in the chat. That's all. That's my exposure to it. Is Jay will come in and say birds aren't real.
So the "Birds Aren't Real" movement believes that all birds have been killed and replaced with drones for government surveillance. Systematically been replaced by all the live birds have been replaced by drone birds, I guess. The conspiracy theory allegedly has been around since 1976, but it has gained some steam recently. And it pieces together some information, some other conspiracy theories to kind of make its point. Primarily, it starts with the CIA used poison gases to kill all live birds in the U.S. in an operation called Water the Country. And the drones allegedly were built in Area 51 and are used to monitor people's behavior. And this group believes that Kennedy was actually assassinated because he refused to implement this bird watching program. They also posit that the engineers who built the birds were captured and killed in Viet Cong. And so this is a conspiracy. It's still live and well today. There are, quote, bird brigades in different cities around the U.S. who believe this.
This
What do you
is
guys think?
so. It started out kind of silly, like birds aren't real. Like they're all drones. Oh, the government killed every bird with poison gas. Oh, Kennedy was assassinated because he wouldn't put the birds up.
And the poison
Korean-
gas came from chemtrails, by the way.
So the deeper you get into it, the more realistic and likely it becomes, is what you're saying.
It took a dark. It's amazing to me how people can see a bird and be like, Kennedy was shot because of you. Just go that far with it.
So you're not
Plus,
buying this time? No conspiracy?
I'm not saying that yet. I'm just saying it escalated quickly. It escalated quickly over there. Tommy brought up a point saying, so the guts I clean up when they crash into my window is augmented reality. Do they have
Are you running into birds in your
guts? Like I've seen dead birds on the street. Do they have an explanation for like the physical bodies of birds?
That's a good question that I don't know. I don't know the answer to.
I mean, so Minnesota, when they built their new stadium, had that exact problem that Tommy's talking about. They made the whole side of it out of glass, and birds were crashing into it at such a high rate that they had to spend like another $1 million to like tint the glass so that birds wouldn't crash into it, or not birds, but more drones would crash into it.
So on their website, I'm here right now on their frequently asked questions page. How do you explain bird meat? All meat found in birds today is 100% synthetic. If birds suddenly became inedible, the government's entire scheme would have been compromised. In order for their transition from real bird to drone replica to make sense, they had to imitate all parts of real birds in their robot copies. This includes tasty, edible meat, just synthetic. And then what about birds that people hunt and are roadkill? How do you explain bird guts? So Tommy, directly answering your question, the entire question is based off a flawed understanding of what a robot is. With major technical advances only recently being made in the 20th century, many still think that a robot can only be a metallic machine with gears and wires. Bird drones are not this. The government has access to futuristic technologies, making it possible to create a robot using parts indistinguishable from a biological organism. So their answer to that is, yeah, our drone birds have guts. True.
Yeah, and I'm reading they also have a similar reasoning for eggs as well. It's essentially like, listen, if you're going to make it convincing, you got to make sure that your robot birds do all the things that your normal birds did, and so things like eggs and poop.
Man,
so I'm on the subreddit for Birds Aren't Real right now, and there's almost 500,000 subscribers, and there's 120 people in there right now. So the community is thriving.
Well and alive.
It makes me sad. Like when I look at my Twitter follower count, and then I'm like, okay, a good number of people are interested in what I have to say, but 500,000 people think that birds are robots. So I guess maybe nobody really, I guess maybe not saying enough interesting things on my channel.
I like how one of the frequently asked questions is, how important is the apostrophe in birds aren't real? Can it be spelled birds aren't real? With no apostrophe.
I think once you're getting into this realm, you can kind of do whatever you want.
Is this a frequently asked question?
I mean, it's an important one.
I'm reading now. They also believe like most birds are used for surveillance, but some other drones have different purposes. Like vultures are not surveillance drones; they're used for public sanitation, roadkill specifically.
Interesting. One of their frequently asked questions is, "I have a pet bird. What do I do?" And let me just read this for you. Not to startle you, but you have a highly advanced government surveillance drone in your house, watching your every movement, picking up every word of your conversations, and sending that data into the Pentagon. Quote, pet birds were actually unheard of before 2001, when all birds became surveillance drones. At this time, the government started a propaganda campaign normalizing, quote, pet birds. If you think about it, a pet bird in a cage doesn't even make sense. The animals are supposed to have endless sky to explore, not to be held within a cage in a house. You'd be best advised to not bring up any matters you'd prefer to remain confidential around your, quote, pet bird.
This man asking like we don't keep hippos in a 10-foot by 10-foot box at the aquarium. Like when has that ever stopped a human? Like this animal shouldn't be in a cage. Oh, shoot. Like, man, it would prefer to not be in this cage. So must be a drone.
Tommy makes a good point. He goes, that's called an iPhone. Just picking something in your pocket, picking up everything you say.
Yeah,
I imagine these people, if they're that worried about birds, they probably don't have like an Alexa in the house, I'm guessing.
Or they do. They just don't realize the hypocrisy.
But they're worried about birds.
Hey, Alexa, read me the newest updates on the Birds Aren't Real conspiracy.
From the Birds Aren't Real forum, please.
My goodness.
Hey, Alexa, in what ways am I being monitored right now as we speak?
In no ways. You are completely safe.
Looks like our buddy Hal from our community here has a conspiracy theory he wants to share. Can we get Hal? Can we get Hal up in here to?
We can get Hal up in
to
here.
Share.
Oh God, this makes me nervous bringing people on to share conspiracy theories every time.
Yeah, but Hal's the best dude.
Every time.
With my boy Hal. What's up, Hal? Welcome in, my friend.
Hal, what up, dog?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Before we hear your conspiracy theory, we got to get your take on the birds. Are they real or are they drones?
I'm just confused. Like, my father-in-law raised a pet bird, and I have the cage that he used as a child in the 50s, but he must just be lying to keep the whole thing going. He was a police officer.
If it was in the 50s, I think
Whoa.
that could have been a real bird, according to the movement. I think 2001 is when they're saying it happened.
I thought they said that there were no pet birds prior to 2001.
Yeah, actually, I have no idea. That's something I read in one of these questions, and I feel like that contradicts something I read in the other questions.
I feel like most conspiracy theories contradict themselves a lot.
Yeah.
Once you said
Here's
your
a good
dad,
one.
once you said your dad was a police officer, that you actually added to the conspiracy theory. So good job.
Oh,
there,
his
Hal.
father-in-law too, so he would totally lie to me.
They were in on it.
Oh.
How do we know you're not a bird drone manufacturer, Hal?
We don't.
We don't.
We don't.
Not that smart.
We don't know that.
We call Hal on to share a conspiracy theory, and instead we just implicate him in the one we're already talking about and then kick him off. Hal, what conspiracy theory did you bring for us today?
So we all remember how the government's really forthright and tells us what they're doing the first time they do it because they like to let us see their failures, right?
Right.
Of course.
Correct.
So when we landed on the moon, everybody thinks that we didn't really land on the moon. The reality is that just wasn't the first time we landed on the moon.
Ooh.
Going the other way. I have not heard this variant of the moon landing conspiracy.
When did we first go to the moon?
In the 60s decade, we went to the moon. It was really within the same time frame. Those launches that they used as test launches to make sure that they weren't going to blow up our astronauts, one of them had people on it.
Dang.
Because why would they send it on a national televised thing and let us watch them explode and die and be a failure during the height of the Russian and U.S.
Cold War.
back and forth Cold War?
Yeah. Whoa.
So you think they actually did it, and then the second time was all pomp and circumstance?
Exactly.
Wow.
Let's get that flag up there.
Dude, what if they still
dude.
messed up the second time though?
Yeah, I mean,
That would be quintessential now, but not in the 60s.
that's a
They got
risk.
stuff
That's a
done
risk
back
you had
then.
to take. Wow, I never heard that one before, and I think it's a lot more plausible than the other one. I
Than
think
the-
it,
Right.
Then the we've never been to the moon one.
right, like
Yeah.
the old, because if you come out and you're just like, oh, we've been to the moon, and everyone's like, prove it, and you're like, well, we have this rock, you know what I mean? Like you need the video and you need the flag up there and all that, right? And the golf club.
Oh yeah, that's from Murrow, you know.
That was from Marino. I'm
They left the club up there?
Yeah, they snuck a golf club up. This wasn't the first one. This
Well, Yeah,
I don't think.
I don't think they left the club, but they definitely left a ball up there. Like
They hit a
he
ball,
whacked-
Yeah, they
he
hit
a
something,
ball.
didn't they?
I
Yeah,
doubt.
sure.
I mean, unless he has a pretty weak swing, I doubt he couldn't track that down.
Yeah.
I imagine it might be in orbit somewhere still.
It could
Rich crushed it. I could-
just launched. Now the moon has a moon the size of a golf ball.
just saying, boys. I went
I
golfing.
hope that there's
I went-
somebody looking for it.
I went golfing when I was down in Florida. I think a couple of my balls ended up in orbit. A couple of my drives.
Wow.
No
So
big
we
deal.
got Cooter Doodle down in the chat saying putting her tinfoil hat on while she gets ready for work listening. And also said in
All
this
right, have a good
scenario, someone was the first one
Thanks,
on
Al.
the moon and
Thanks
told
for
them,
coming in,
don't
Al.
tell anyone though. Thanks so much, Al. In this scenario, someone was the first on the moon and told, don't tell anyone though. You're doing something great, but no one can know about it.
I just picture that meme. The kid sitting next to the girl and his face is all red, trying not to say the secret. He's just like, I went to the moon. I was the first one on the moon.
Wasn't Neil as me?
Yeah, they probably had to say you got to send the same people back. You know what I mean? They've already been there, and you got to give them the credit.
Absolutely. Or you don't. And that person just has to live with that for the rest of their life. No one believing them that they went to the moon first in the 60s.
Dude, imagine the person who actually did go to the moon first was like Jerry Jones.
They messed with his brain. They didn't have the pressure in the cabin quite right, and that's where all of his antics come from.
Could be anybody. And to keep him quiet, they were like, okay, you can't tell anybody you went to the moon, but we're gonna let you have the Cowboys.
Maybe it's just
And
like no one believes
and
him.
you can fire Tom Landry if you want.
He got the powers like Cassandra in Greek mythology. She's the prophet that no one believes her. She's cursed with never being listened to, always to be ignored. It's 100% accurate, but always ignored. That's Jerry Jones.
I think that's what happens. I think
And then he
that's
bought the Cowboys, and turns out he wasn't a prophet.
Turns out. I mean, they were good for a little while there.
They
I
were.
forget.
He got it done.
25 years ago. Pretty good.
Well, guys, I have a conspiracy theory for us. If you don't mind me throwing one out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of the conspiracy theory that Avril Lavigne was replaced by a girl named Melissa?
So I have heard a little bit about this one. But I want to hear it in full because I've only heard very snippets of it.
Yeah, so the premise of the theory is that Avril Lavigne died in 2003 and was replaced by a lookalike named Melissa Vandella, who was originally hired to help relieve the paparazzi from Avril Lavigne because she was overwhelmed with the fame and the level of attention that she was getting. Generally a private person. Now, the theory is that after she died and before she died, they trained Melissa up, the record label, on how to sound like Avril Lavigne, and she already looked a bit like her. So whenever Avril Lavigne passed, according to this theory, the record label, in order to continue profiting off her music, just had Melissa replace her and continue making all of the music. So
Melissa.
They had some evidence that people have found. They compared photos of Avril before and after 2003, noticing differences in her appearance, including changes in her nose, jawline, and height. They also pointed to her musical style and lyrics, which got darker after 2003. They weren't nearly as like playful and upbeat as they were, and they think this is because Melissa took over. Like this is more Melissa's artistic stylings.
Ooh.
That's the points that they're making right here. They've also analyzed her interviews and public appearances. They said that her behavior and personality were different, and that the tattoos on her after 2003 appear to be slightly different than those on the original Avril. There was also a video that she showed up in where she had Melissa written on her hand that just fed directly into the conspiracy theorists. So Avril Lavigne has come out and denied this herself, but that's exactly what someone named Melissa pretending to be Avril Lavigne would say.
Yeah, why would she?
Why would she go, you got me, I'm Melissa. But that's
now
why
you got Melissa.
Why did I think that the theory also involved like her being the original Avril Lavigne being like eaten by wolves or something?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did I just make that part of it up? But for some reason,
conspiracy theory.
Some reason that I felt like that was part of it.
That is
does the conspiracy theory include how she died?
No, it does not. Not from the article I'm looking at.
So it could be
Melissa killed her, obviously.
So it could be wolves. I'm just saying.
Could be wolves. Could be wolves.
Probably, I would say. I would go as far as to say it probably was wolves.
So their whole theory is basically that in this one case of Avril Lavigne, the normal human growth and development over time is not real, but instead it's just Melissa. Avril Lavigne should have stayed static this whole time.
In what sense?
Like not changing. If her lyrics change, right? Like artist styles change over time typically.
Oh yeah, but in Avril Lavigne, yeah, exactly.
Facial structures change as they age and get older.
In this case,
their tattoos shift because their skin grows and sheds and grows back.
Yeah, in this case, that should have never happened, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you look at the Beatles had like, you know, in their very short career span, they changed like drastically. But Avril Lavigne changes a little bit, and obviously she was eaten by wolves and replaced with a clone. Melissa.
I feel like
Goodyear says, in this scenario, someone was the first on the moon and told. Oh wait,
you read that one.
Dan Coop is the wild card today.
Yeah. She also said the conspiracy theory I truly believe is that wild conspiracy theories were pushed and made popular so they are mainstream and no one believes the other ones. I mean, that's pretty good. Somewhere in this mix of conspiracy theories, something has to be true. What, right? There are some that have proven.
It sounds like you guys aren't. It sounds like you guys aren't buying the Melissa theory, though. That you think Avril Lavigne is Avril Lavigne.
I'm not buying the Melissa theory because there's no evidence for it, but I'm not closed off to the fact. I wouldn't trust Avril Lavigne if I had to. Because of this.
The great thing about a replacement theory is it's so hard to prove wrong. Like the Jamar Hamlin ones, I like dove in there and started arguing with people on Twitter, and it is so hard to win.
It's like stepping on a rake.
They can always, anyone can get a tattoo, right? Like they just got the same tattoos. Okay. It is stepping on rakes over and over again. It is that's why it's so great to glob onto those. From now on, I'm going to choose to accept that all replacement conspiracy theories are correct.
So I was trying to look for like more specific evidence about the appearance, see if there was anything that maybe couldn't be explained by aging. And Melissa, if you're believing this, is a little bit taller than Avril was, which is one of like the things that sparked it off. Is there's a slight height difference that they've noticed.
How old
in
was she
pictures and
when the transition happened?
a grown woman. She was a grown woman. Let's see. It was in 2003. So however old Avril Lavigne supposedly is now, minus 20. Avril Lavigne is 38, so minus 20. Oh,
18.
actually, that is barely an adult. That is 18 years old.
So maybe she grew.
Maybe she
with
grew.
aging.
When did girls stop growing? 18?
I think it's probably based off the individual. It's probably a normal distribution across an age range.
You're probably right. Though I am seeing girls usually stop growing and reach adult height by 14 or 15 years old.
Usually.
Unless
Maybe she's a late bloomer.
unless they're eaten by wolves
Unless they're eaten by wolves.
and replaced. Yes. So and the lyrics are trickling in. He's just a canine boy. He said, "See you later, boy."
Yes, I'll listen to it right now.
You threw it on.
Oh yeah, had to.
Sing Tommy's line for us then while you're there.
No.
That's a banger. If you like the Avril Lavigne songs, always hit at karaoke. Like if you're looking for a karaoke song, Skater, Boy, Complicated, Girlfriend, all three of those will get the entire crowd singing with you. Shout out Melissa.
Shout out Melissa. Always gets the crowd going at
Always
karaoke.
gets those bangers going.
We got
I'm not
Ladarius
buying
in the
it, but I
chat.
wanted to put it in front of you guys because a lot of people seem to enjoy this one. The idea that it's not actually Avril Lavigne.
I like that one, Simon.
Ladarius is on it. He says, "Good morning, all. Are you telling me that Melissa was singing the banger Girlfriend? This is complicated."
2007 for Girlfriend. That was Melissa.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That
then-
was Melissa.
Dang.
Hal says, "Who's to say she didn't take HGH?" Yeah, maybe Avril Lavigne just started taking human growth hormone suddenly at 18.
The liver queen.
Yeah. So I have a couple here. One is one that I alluded to earlier. It's a quick one, which I just thought it would be funny. Is there's a conspiracy theory going around that Aaron Rodgers is actually going to retire. But before he does that, he's just trying to get all of his buddies paid giant contracts. So
Yes.
the Alan Lazard $44 million deal and, Randall Cobb rumors and all that stuff. And Jeff Janis coming back from the tire store. All that stuff is just Aaron
Not
Rodgers.
retirement, the tire store.
Yeah, the unretire salesman move. So that's the conspiracy theory right now. Are you guys buying that one?
The moment I saw this on Twitter yesterday, my mind immediately started playing out the scenario where like Alan Lazard signs his signature on the last page of the contract, and he's the last one Aaron needs to get in there. And Aaron just is like looking at all of his friends all longingly, and then he just fades into the ether. Just goes full Siddhartha as he reaches enlightenment.
If Aaron Rodgers does this, like it would really move him up my rankings of like how I feel about that man. That would be so funny to do that. Get all your buddies jobs, like real good jobs, and then just go live your life.
Just gotta go into solitary.
That would be awesome because that would also mean he's passing on. He got all of his friends' jobs, passed on $60 million more and said, "I'm just going to go on with my life." Keith said it would not be funny. I'm sorry that it would happen to the Jets, but it absolutely would be hilarious.
It would be
That would
very
be the
funny.
best, dude.
Would it be funny if it happened to another team, Keith?
No,
There you go.
not nearly as funny.
And not as funny, but still funny.
Still pretty
It's
funny.
funniest that
Yeah.
it happens to the Jets.
I mean,
Bernie
the
says
thing
then
is,
Lazard turns around and sees Zach Wilson and starts screaming. "No!"
Yeah, this really is just kind of screwing his friends
I mean,
at the end of the day.
if he wants to screw me over and I get $44 million out of it, then yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me.
Someone can screw you over for $44 million.
I think so. Yeah, I think I could handle that. I think I can handle that one.
After Skater Boy finished, it started playing "Baby It's Cold Outside" by Avril Lavigne and Johnny Blue, and my goodness, not the best rendition of that song. Let me tell you.
Dude, that song is also kind of iffy.
Yeah,
it's
great.
vibes are a little bit questionable. Yeah.
Melissa's not really a Christmas singer though, so I can't really hold her to that standard.
The old Avril would have crushed it.
Oh
She would've
yeah,
killed it.
easily.
All right, but so the actual conspiracy theory that I do have for you guys is one that I saw recently. I don't think I've brought it up in the show before, but maybe I have. But this conspiracy theory is that the lottery was actually created by the CIA as a mechanism to catch time travelers. It is a mechanism that was created to prevent time crimes, and this entire time they've been
Time crimes.
Yes.
they've
Time
been, if
You
possible,
just said time crime.
time crimes, baby.
crimes.
Yes, time crimes, and they've been collecting.
With Justin Timberlake.
Yes, they've been collecting time criminals on the sly, but every once in a while they're wise to it and they announce that they're, that they won the lottery or whatever. And that's the explanation for that is that if you look at lottery winners, a lot of them suffer pretty serious misfortune. I see Simon nodding that you've read this, that this is true. This is well documented that a lot of people that win the lottery can't really handle having that amount of money and they run into issues. They get robbed. The
murder rate for lottery winners is like something like 400% higher than the national average.
They get robbed, they get murdered, they go broke, they get addicted to drugs. Their family members like screw them over. And that is all part of the conspiracy that like the CIA has to find covert ways to punish or kill these time criminals. And that is how they're doing it. What do you guys?
Perfect cover up.
What do you
know what I mean? What a perfect cover up. Like, like the money got to them. They ruined their own life. Like everything is, I don't have an immediate, you're wrong. Like I don't have an immediate screw you. Here's the thing wrong with it because it all kind of checks out.
Dude, what if they use this as inspiration for that Washington police sting? You guys remember that, where they had a bunch of criminals who had warrants out, and they sent them all mail that said free Washington tickets.
Oh, I love watching those videos.
They got them all to come, and then they signed their name to get the tickets, and then they arrested them.
No,
dude, I've seen.
We did like earlier in the season.
I've seen a video of an Alabama fan doing one of those, and it's like for child support. And the dude shows up so drunk that he shows up. They're like, "You won, dude," and he's like, "Yeah." And then they're literally handcuffing the guy and reading him his rights and telling him that he is being arrested on missed child support, and he's still like, "Yeah."
I did it! I won this child support. Worst father of the year.
Are we going to the game?
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you, kid. Yeah.
So in this theory, what happens if somebody accidentally wins the lottery? Is the CIA just taking them out as an assumed time traveler? Like, is winning the lottery evidence enough for them that you are a time traveler, or is it just like a piece of the puzzle?
That's a good question. I imagine that to keep the ruse going, they let people actually win every once in a while. Like if nobody comes back in time, I think they probably just let people win. But maybe that's when the jackpots get really big. Like nobody comes back and they just like are tempting people to come back.
You're right.
Like at a certain point,
1.3 billion, someone breaks, even though they know they're going to get killed. They think they can be the one who does it.
Right. Because people in the future, they have to know that these time criminals are being punished. But at a certain point, they're like, it's worth it.
Absolutely. Do the time cops look like balls like they do in Rick and Morty?
I think they have to, really, for it all to make sense.
Yeah, of course. Without that, it doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
I'm buying it. My uncle won the lottery in the Netherlands, though. Is the CIA doing do you think other countries have similar programs with their lottery winners?
I think the CIA is behind all of them.
Even
it's all just like local. Yeah, it's like just putting out a bunch of fishnets.
They're in. And your uncle, probably a time criminal. I hate to break it to you. I hate that this is how you had to find out. But actually, having an uncle that's a time criminal is kind of cool. There are certain crimes.
Uncle TC.
Uncle TC.
There are certain crimes that there's a hierarchy to crimes and the coolness of them. Like, I hate to admit it. Like, obviously, you're kind of a jerk if you rob a bank, but you know,
Pretty much any sort of indecent exposure.
it's that's at the
Not super
bottom.
cool.
That's at the bottom. But like bank robbing, I mean, you're kind of stealing from like these like institutions, you know, and as long as you're not hurting anybody, it is kind of cool. It is kind of cool. Like let's we
There's
can
a
stop.
movie, there's a glamour to it.
Yeah, we can stop pretending that it's not kind of cool.
Like when we heard about the Chiefs super fan that had been robbing games to pay for tickets and trips for 7 years, none of us were like, that asshole. We were like, oh, that's pretty badass.
I think the clip on our YouTube, we have it on the YouTube shorts. The first thing I say is, "Oh, what a beast!" He's just going to NFL games, dude. Like dope. Like he's kind of robbing it, except instead of giving to the poor, he's just going to football games, which is pretty sick.
A little less noble, but
A little less,
pretty
noble,
awesome.
but pretty awesome. Good for him.
Fun fact about the lottery in the Netherlands, they do a zip code lottery, which I'd never heard of before. They draw a zip code, and everybody who bought tickets within that zip code splits the prize, whatever the jackpot is. So if you live in a like much more rural county and you win the lottery in the Netherlands, you're going to win significantly more money than if you live like in downtown Amsterdam, because it's split between everybody in your zip code that buys a ticket.
interesting.
Yeah, that's rigged.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, very
So
interesting.
that'd be
you
a
and my
really-
neighbors can win the lottery together.
I
That'd be
wonder
a
if
really
that impacts like where people live, like if people are making decisions based off of that.
be a really
But-
easy way for the government to just like do government handouts. It'd be like, give some money to those poor people over there, and everyone's like, "What the hell?" And you're like, "It's the lottery."
I think they've got other systems set up outside of the lottery to distribute help like that in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Tim here says we should go through the entire conspiracy theory iceberg on Reddit. Some are straight up terrifying. Maybe not the entire library.
The problem with the conspiracy theory subreddit is it used to be conspiracy theories, but now it's just like a right wing subreddit. Like they shut down the Donald and they were like, let's just make this the Donald now. So
Yeah.
it's, you run into some of those
It's
problems.
not the
You might have
fun.
to-
It's not the fun that it used to be. You used to get the birds aren't real, and Avril Lavigne's been replaced, and some crazy Nickelodeon ones. I feel like there's some nuts ones that go over there, but now it's like
Now it's yeah. You have to go to the post from like 5 years ago to get the real deal.
absolutely. Well, guys, coming up, we've got some more morning show goodness for you. We're going to play some vague descriptions, and then our friend Bob Harris is joining for some Texas Ranges. And then we're going to talk trade values with our friend Alex Korf, aka the Trade Daddy himself. If you're enjoying what we're doing over here, you should head on over to our YouTube channel, Front Yard Fantasy, and hit that subscribe button. Check out what we're doing each and every day of the week. We got shorts coming out, other shows, game shows. You're not going to want to miss it. But right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Bettor Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft, oh well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up.
auto bidding, auto auctioning. It ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2-3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It's in a game. We're about to get into a game of vague descriptions, but before we do that, I want to remind everybody out there who might be a golf fan that we've got the Ultimate Golf Talk here on BSN with our friends at Tour Junkies. It's on BSN On Demand. You can hear David Barnett and Pat Perry recap their trip to TPC Sawgrass, discuss another betting favorite winning at the Players, and provide their betting and DFS approach for this week's Valspar Championship. So go in there, listen to that, get that winning golf advice and your DFS golf picks on demand on the BSN app with Tour Junkies.
Golf DFS is awesome, man. I enjoy watching golf. I'm not like super duper into it, but golf DFS it really holds you down to the wire because on those leaderboards, it boils down to like this much. You know what I mean? Like the inches we need everywhere around us, and like one birdie can change everything. So it's like watching your guy go up and down and rooting for that one putt is so amazing. And it's even fun when your guy misses. It's just like, come on. So I'm in on golf DFS. I'm in.
Me too. I'm in on it. Well, Coop, before we get into vague descriptions, I wanted to tell you an embarrassing thing that happened to me yesterday. So yesterday, my internet was out, my cell reception kicked, and I'm like freaking out at home. I'm not handling it well. Like it was a high stress day. I had a lot to do. I wasted an hour of my day talking to customer support, trying to get my bill comped, which ended up not working. But so like, I was like, I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere. And if I come back and my internet's back, then I'll be mad. So I go to the rock climbing gym to climb, and like, I just don't want to leave and go back home. I'm putting that off. My arms are so tired, but I'm like, okay, one more wall. And there's this one wall with this giant green knob on it. I'm talking like it sticks out like a foot from the wall, maybe more. And it's knob, but it's a hard wall getting there. And so I get there, and the move is to then push up with my hands and reach the next hole. But I realize my hands are going to give out. So I just plop down. And now all of a sudden I am straddling this knob on the wall, facing the wall fully. My arms are not strong enough to move me up to pull me off of it or to push myself off of it. I'm dangling probably like 7 feet in the air, just sitting it like I'm sitting on the toilet backwards. Like imagine that pose.
I already see it.
Just trying to like wiggle myself off the wall. And I know the gym is full at this point. Like it's after work. It's like 6 p.m. And I just know like there were people who were doing the same wall as me, like trying to get up there. So that everyone's standing there watching. I can't even see them is the worst part, because I'm stuck facing the wall. And I end up just having to like just push myself off one side and fall over on my side. It was, I was stuck. There was a moment. It was a solid 30 seconds where I struggled though, just sitting on the wall, trying to figure out a way to remaneuver myself.
Not only do you have to look at those people every time you go back in there, but you're going to have to look at that knob and just know. You think you can get back there and conquer the knob?
I'm gonna conquer the knob. I just got to get back there before they take it off the wall. That's the worst. Whenever like I'm like a wall defeats me like that, and then I go back and it's gone. The unconquered knob.
Can you request a wall? Can you be like, bring back the knob? I need
back
to
the
myself.
knob. I've never done it, but maybe you can. Joey said, "Say knob again." I got you.
Say knob again. Yeah, after you said that, we managed to say knob another 11 times.
We reached our knob limit.
Yeah, that's
I
rough.
think I've told my favorite thing anybody's ever said to me. I think like number one thing. I'm at my grandfather's wake and we're all standing in a line next to the coffin, you know, as you do. And everybody's coming by and shaking hands. And I'm so sorry for your loss. Like your grandfather was a great man. Oh, like maybe a funny story here. And this one man walks up to me and he looks me in the eyes. He's this little, like wrinkled over old man with slicked back hair. He's got a cane and he shakes my hand. And he goes, like, how are you related to Ray? And I was like, I'm his grandson. He goes, oh, well, I used to work with your grandfather down at the knob factory. Like, no, you didn't. That is not real. You did not work with my grandfather at the knob factory.
Your grandfather was the head knob polisher. Yeah,
I laughed at him. I didn't mean to laugh, but just what a ridiculous thing to say. Like, it's like, thank you. Like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I used to work with your grandfather down at the knob factory, making a nickel a day.
Nobody could make a knob sparkle like your old pappy. He could shine him as quick as we could crush him, or what? I don't know how you make knobs, but
I asked my grandmother about that after the wake, and she was like, "I have no idea what he was talking about." I'm not saying he didn't work at the knob factory, but he never told me about it.
What the hell, dude? I like to think that dude just shows up to random funerals, just throwing that out there. Yeah, it's in the knob factory.
It's his it's his hobby. If he sees like a funeral home with too many cars in the parking lot, he's like, "Oh, I got to go make an appearance."
Yeah, there he is, back from the Bob. You had to go down to Bob's Knobs and get yourself a couple knobs.
Dude, Bob's Knobs is crazy busy right now. Who would have thought? 8:41 on a freaking Wednesday. Hump day, man.
Well, I mean, everyone knows the new knobs come out every third Wednesday of the month.
Everyone does know that.
Every time anyone says hump day, I like immediately get like a level of stress. Like it's like a reaction to this. I worked at a summer camp for 4 and 5 year olds the year that Geico commercial came out. And the number of times I heard people going hump day and their little 5-year-old voices running around was infinite, like nearing infinite. I think I heard that more times than there are grains of sand on planet Earth.
Dude, Joey in the chat says, the Knob Factory is the name of my Magic Mike inspired male venue.
But they're all underpaid factory workers from like the Great Depression era.
Yeah, it's a 55 plus.
It's a Magic Mike / workers' rights musical about factory workers revolting at the Knob Factory.
It's a real small niche.
Down at the Knob Factory, we're gonna do
loyal niche.
We're gonna do our rendition of the Triangle Shirt Coat Waste Factory Fire.
Well, guys, we're about to get into a game we call Vague Descriptions. We've got a series of descriptions that one could call vague, describing something. The contestants are going to have to tell the host what they are describing with their vague description, just given a category and the description itself. Whoever identifies more is going to be our champion. You guys ready?
Yep. And if you don't get it right, your opponent's going to get to steal it. Who started yesterday? I think it was Simon.
He stole it.
I think it was Simon. So we'll start with Coop today.
And a reminder to everyone watching, put your answers in the chat if you think you know it. Coop and I are going to have the chats closed.
I'm keeping mine open.
So Coop's going to cheat, but I'm going to have mine closed. So if you want to help Coop cheat or you want to show off your answers, throw them in the chat.
I feel like if you lose twice in a row, you get to cheat.
Nobody told me that rule. What about 14 times in a row?
This one's so hard. This one's like impossible to cheat on, though, because it's just complete vague descriptions.
It is. And here's your first one, Coop. Okay. The category is movie. The vague description is a business owner short on staffing tries to use child labor to run his company.
Business owner short on staffing tries to use child labor. Something tells me that this isn't like a true child labor film. It's a let's just have the kids help out here. Business owner. I'm trying to think what kind of.
Did you say the word factory?
I said a business owner short on staffing tries to use child labor to run his company.
Yeah, so not factory. Okay. Tries to use child labor. Nothing's really jumping out to me with kids doing jobs. Is this Baby Geniuses?
Baby Geniuses is incorrect, Coop.
I've never even seen it. I just figured I'd throw something out there.
That's a great movie.
Is it?
No, I don't think so. I have seen it, but it was a long time ago.
The only
Kirstie Alley.
I've never
Alley?
seen either of them, but
My
somebody
sister's
showed.
named after Kirstie Alley's character from Cheers.
Kirstie Alley.
That's true.
That's true. True fact, Rebecca from Cheers. Kirstie Alley's character.
Pretty cool. I was going to say that I've never seen either Baby Geniuses, but somebody showed me the reviews for Baby Geniuses 2, and they are hilarious.
Baby Geniuses 2.
One of the reviews for Baby Geniuses 2 is just one word. It just says excruciating. A bunch of them actually
what I'm
one
watching.
word. One is just
See, that summed it up.
you go and look at Rotten Tomatoes, and it just says like ghastly. Like, good review. I think I had a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. Is that good?
Ooh, ouch. All right, Simon, you can steal this point.
I've got a couple, but both of them were answer options I put for a Jeopardy question yesterday. But I don't know if it's going to be right. The Bob's Burgers movie.
The Bob's Burgers movie is incorrect.
He does use his kids. He does use his kids,
And he does try to use his kids to run his company. It's not always successful.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Coop, I'll offer you redemption on this one.
I got nothing, man. Short on labor. So they have the kids helping out with the company. I'm guessing this is some sort of comedy where it's like humorous that they're doing this, but I just get nothing coming to mind. How about is it
Hal said, are we actually ever helpful?
I don't think you guys are. I'm gonna go with I can't see the chat, but I'm gonna guess Jay's answer that he always puts in there. Is this Babe Pig in the City?
This is not Babe Pig in the City. Simon.
Are Minions considered children? Because I'm guessing Despicable Me.
Despicable Me is incorrect.
What do
You guys are gonna take
If
yourself.
this is
no.
No. I was gonna say if this is Willy Wonka, I protest because Oompa Loompas are not children.
Is this
They
Oliver
are
Twist?
adults.
I don't think it's talking about Oompa Loompas. I think it's talking about the children.
But they don't even work in the
doesn't work.
factory.
Owning the factory, like taking over ownership is not working. I revolt against this.
I would love to push back against you. The problem is I refuse to watch Willy Wonka now
Great film.
because I'm not a child. So I have no idea.
What?
This is correct.
I think it's a great film for all ages.
It says the guy
I
whose
just don't really- I
Adventure
just don't
Time
really
is one of
wanna
his
watch it.
favorite shows of all
Oh,
time.
Adventure Time is one of the best shows.
It is a great
ever
show,
made.
but that's an adult show. That's an adult TV show.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Also,
The
to be adult.
shout out Cooter.
Well,
Wait, Oliver Twist is my last guess. My
that is
initial
also
guess.
incorrect. It's still Willy Wonka.
How is it Willy Wonka, dude? Is this Keith? Did
I
Keith
don't
come
know
up
what
with
this
this one?
No, Keith did not come up with this one.
I'll
But
accept
I
the
also did not
results,
come up
but
with this one.
begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Fine. Well, we always have to accept the results, but we're protesting. Silent
So
protest.
frustrated.
All right, Simon. It wasn't even Simon's turn. He's mad.
I'm mad too.
You should. You have a right to be mad. It was your turn.
Oliver
Simon's just
Twist is
stealing.
better if your business is stealing from people.
Okay. All right, Simon. This next one is categories movie. The vague description is a smartass teenager becomes a swinger in New York.
I'm guessing the word swinger is the double entendre here, that it's not meaning like a swinger, like someone swinging around. I think it's going to be like maybe a baseball player. Like maybe this is a baseball movie. The problem is I don't know a lot of baseball movies. I'm trying to even think of the names of Angels in the Outfield. It's not that one, I don't think, because that would be on the other side of the country. Can I say a poor boy becomes a swinger in New York? Is that what you said?
Smartass teenager becomes a swinger in New York.
Smart ass teenager.
Okay, I have a guess, but
I don't know. My mind immediately went to Matt Damon as soon as you said smart ass teenager for some reason.
how about them apples?
I feel Bull Durham.
Incorrect. I don't know what that is, so I'm afraid to say it.
Baseball movie.
That's just a very famous baseball movie. I've never seen it though.
Okay, this one is this. So the smart ass teenager in my in my narrative here would be Macaulay Culkin. And when he does in this movie, he does end up with a bunch of money doing cool stuff. Is this Home Alone 2?
Home Alone 2 is incorrect.
Oh,
Simon, would you like redemption?
Yeah. This is
smart ass teenager becomes a swinger in New York.
becomes a swinger in New York. What else could swinger mean? What else could you be swinging besides a baseball bat or a golf club?
After the first one, I'm not trusting any of the language.
Let's see. This is
That's your prerogative.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh,
This is Spider-Man. I'll give this to you, Simon.
Okay.
yes.
I will give this to you. This
Okay.
is
Wow.
but yeah, this is Spider-Man.
That
Well
is
done.
good, dude. That
Nice
is good.
pull.
I was gonna go George in the Jungle.
I stopped going down the baseball movie route and I just started thinking movies in New York. Movies
What?
in New York.
Once I saw your face, I knew the word swinger would become very important. Good job, dude.
Well done.
Did the chat get that one?
The chat did not. Maybe.
Suck it, nerds.
Wake up, chat.
I want to see like 2 of the comments.
Wake up!
on YouTube. There we go. No, I don't see a Spider-Man in there. Chat. I don't see a Spider-Man. I do see an Albert in there. It's like
What's up, Albert? That's better than a
Albert.
Spider-Man.
way better than Spider-Man. And we got our good buddy Nick in here. Said great guest, Coop. And
that-
EJ said good morning. What up, EJ?
What
Is
up,
that
EJ?
Danuccio?
Danuccio.
Hey.
All right. Let's get on to our next one here. Simon, or I'm sorry. Yeah, Simon, you got that right.
Indeed, I did.
Good job, Simon.
Good. Oops. All right. This next one is Simon's.
No, it's Coops.
Oops.
Next one is Coops. Your category is football.
Yes, I love football.
Vague description is track and field, but not really.
Track and field, but not really. Is this the 40-yard dash?
This is not the 40-yard dash. Simon.
That's what I was going to say. So now I have to think of a separate answer. Track and field,
That's the worst when you have to think,
but not really.
but not really.
I definitely think this is just the combine.
That would be.
The combine is correct.
Damn it!
Well done,
I
Simon.
thought that too.
The field, the and field is what made it a
And
little
field
bit
part.
further.
That was a differentiator. That's
Yeah.
why I chose not to give you that.
I
point
should have
for
just
that.
said combine. If I had said combine and the answer was 40-yard dash, would you have given it to me?
Yeah. Probably not, but that would have been a different question. The prompt probably would have been
Okay,
different.
fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Well done, Simon. That's going to put you in the lead 2-0 in this next
Yeah.
one.
Good job, dude.
And Jack got this one. Hal said combine. Tommy said combine. Hal said combine. Dustin said combine.
You crafty.
Nice job.
You crafties.
Goop, you
All right.
you jumped in front of the train for me on that one because I would have said 40-yard dash.
Yeah, lucky. All right, Simon. Your next one. Category is song.
Oh.
Your vague description is uncertain appointment.
Uncertain appointment. What's a meeting? Something uncertain is. Why is all I can think of Careless Whispers? Because that is not it. But that is just all I
Show
know.
me Careless Whispers.
It's like every thought has been replaced by George Michael and saxophone.
Show me George Michael.
Not the worst thing.
You said something appointment.
Song, uncertain appointment.
Uncertain appointment. If something is uncertain, it's not known. It is maybe. Call me maybe.
Oh, that was my guess.
Call me maybe is correct.
Shout out Carly Rae Jepsen. I would have
I
been
would've-
so upset if I missed that one.
I was trying to pretend like I didn't even have a guess so that you wouldn't even think that.
Did
was
you know that,
actually-
Coop?
Yeah, that was my guess, and I was like sitting here. I was like, maybe I'll get a point. But I didn't want to. Sometimes I feel like if I say I have it, then Simon realizes that it's very gettable, and then he gets it. So
Yeah.
was a
I
little bit
operate
of a
well under pressure.
second level, a little second level
This is level 9 thinking.
That's the highest level military thinking.
That's what they say.
That's what they're telling
All
me.
right. Coop, you ready for your next one?
This one's worth 4.
This one's worth still 1. You got quite the hole to dig yourself out of here.
Well, let's get started. Let's go quick.
Nick said, crushing it, Simon.
Yeet. Happy
All right,
Wednesday.
your category is movie, and your vague description is a girl badly in need of a haircut is dying to get out of the TV business.
Ooh, badly in need of a haircut. Dying to get out of the TV business. So there are a couple different movies about this one character. The character with the long hair, which is Rapunzel. Is this Tangled?
Tangled is incorrect. Simon, you have the opportunity to steal this.
I'm going down the same Rapunzel route, Coop, but now I'm uncertain.
Badly in need of a haircut.
Wants to get out of the TV business, and it's a TV show. You said
Movie.
a
Is
movie
the category.
Movie is the category. Wants to get out of the TV business. A girl badly in need of a haircut. Wants to get out of the TV business. So what does she want to do instead? I don't know. Is this Ella Enchanted?
This is not Ella Enchanted. Do you want to take a shot at Redemption, Coop?
I don't really have anything. Wants to get out of the TV business. As in, like, she's on TV or she's selling TVs, and why is she so hairy?
I'm trying to think.
Why is this? Why she need a haircut? Badly in need. I mean, I don't know. Is this Princess Leia? Is this Star Wars?
This is not Star Wars. Simon, your last shot.
Wants to get out of the TV business. Badly in need of a haircut. Is
Jeez.
this
Girl badly in
Legally
need of a
Blonde?
haircut is dying to get out of the TV business. Legally Blonde is incorrect.
What is it,
Sorry.
dude?
The Ring.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good one. That shout out whoever
That's a
made
tough
that vague
That's a tough one.
description. Did you write that
Dude.
one, JL?
I did not.
Whoever
That
wrote
was-
that one, just beautiful.
That movie scared the heck out of me, dude.
Oh my god.
That little
It
girl,
scared the heck out of me too.
Cool, bro. Not cool. That little girl with the upside down walking. Oh
Ugh.
no.
All right. Simon, you want to do one more?
Let's get one more in there.
All right, this one's yours, the last one. Category is football. Vague description is Mafia's take on salary.
Mafia's take on salary.
Mafia's take on salary.
A cap hit.
Oh,
Cap hit is
that's
correct,
good.
Simon.
That's
Solidifying your victory 4-2-0.
That was a big day, man. That was a big day.
Big day.
Big day. Big day for Simon and big descriptions. We'll see if it'll hold up, though, playing
Speech.
some Texas Rangers with our friend Bob Harris joining the show next. So if you guys don't want to miss out on Bob, which I know you don't, make sure you stick around here on the Frank Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Better Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
Well, LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he
never
not?
on the cover.
I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want, I could do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover, and then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
No way you know.
and Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14,
No way you know all this.
14, also a trick question.
Uh-huh.
I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders. Unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
Oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my life.
Okay. Keep on going.
15, you have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16. Oh, okay, hold on. 16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17. Now, this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. Yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
We now know, but that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had 2 people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I just finished kicking Coop's butt in a game of vague descriptions, but joining us right now, probably to take Coop and I both down in a game of Texas Rangers, is one of our great friends in this space, Bob Harris. For those of you that don't know Bob, I guess you've been living under a rock the past couple of years, but he is one of the OG fantasy football diehards and the senior editor over at footballdiehards.com. He's a host over on SiriusXM Fantasy. And Bob, we are so glad to have you on with us today, my friend.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? I've been listening to the show. It's been fantastic. When I went to bed last night, as I laid my head down on the pillow, I was saying to myself, as long as it's not Texas Rangers, I'll be okay. And then I woke up this morning to tweet about Texas Rangers. I went, what?
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're in for some nonsense, Bob. I hope you're ready.
I'm
Texas Rangers. We had to bring in the Texas guy for Texas Rangers.
Yeah,
it was only right.
Makes perfect sense. I should have known. I should have seen it coming.
Rules are rules.
Hal in the chat says, "Nice shirt, Bob. Digging the tool shirt you got on." Bob always has the.
I think this is the last tour. I think this is the last tour from. Yeah, this was the most recent tour. So yes.
Bob, with the number of band shirts you have that I know every single one is actually from a concert, I don't know how you had a career. How'd you have time to do anything? How'd you build up this like legendary status in the fantasy industry while going to every Tool concert that ever happened?
I only do 2 things: work and some great shows coming here in Texas. By the way, the ranges of shows is amazing. That's coming ahead for me.
You bring your laptop and sit there in front of the giant screen that Tool puts up with like the flaming inferno, and you're just like,
no, you can't have any devices out during a Tool show or they'll confiscate them.
Yeah, I don't. Maynard would never allow it.
Yeah, one last song. Everyone gets to film the same song.
There it is.
Well, Bob, we're going to get into our game of Texas Rangers, see who comes out on top. And for those of you who have not joined us for this before, here's how this game works. We're going to be given a prompt asking for a specific number, like how many passing yards did Tom Brady have in the 2022 regular season? Now, each contestant has to guess a number range. Your goal is to have the actual answer within the range that you give. If the number is within your range, you're getting 1 point. Now, if you are the contestant with the smallest range that is correct, you're going to get 3 points instead of that 1. The only contingency is if your range is more than double the number being guessed, you're not going to get any points. So if it was 5,000 passing yards and your range was from 0 to 11,000, you're not getting points for that. So no 0 to a million nonsense here. Outside of that, them's the rules. Whoever has the most points at the end is going to be our Texas Rangers champion. And I'm pretty sure the declared king of Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Did you get the rights for that, Joe?
I did not.
Oh, Bob, were you securing that? I forget who was responsible for securing that.
I believe it was my job and I failed miserably.
Gosh, okay, next time. Next
have to reach out to
Greg.
It's been free
agency. It's been busy. There have been no concerts this week.
You're right.
I'm glad that Bob admitted it because it was also my responsibility, but I was just trying to pass the guilt.
But you're ready to let Bob take the fall.
Yeah, I was fully ready to let Bob just Just take that.
I'll
Take it and run with it.
That's actually the main reason we bring guests on.
I'm old. People give me slack.
All right. Simon, you will be going first. You'll be giving your first range in this game of Texas ranges, followed by Bob, followed by Coop. We'll go in a rotating order there. What an order.
Strong order.
The first question for you guys, the first prompt. What's the width of an NFL football field in feet? What's the width of an NFL football field in feet? Simon, you are giving the first range. What you got?
Okay, in feet. A yard is 3 feet. So you just multiply by 3 if you're thinking in yards. I think it's probably about, I'm going to say, I'm going to say 68 to 82 yards or feet.
68 to 82 feet.
Oh, God, I'm so bad at estimating distances.
150 to 160 feet.
Oh,
150 to 160 feet.
So, Bob, I think Bob's thinking the same thing I did. Back when I was in high school, we had to run this thing called a beast. And that is when you run up and back 3 times, and each position had a different time. So it's like, you had to do it in 60 something seconds for quarterbacks. Linemen got like an hour or whatever it was. And like, if you didn't hit your time, you had to run laps, right? So we used to run these things beasts. And so I knew how long I had to run because I hated them. And it was 50 yards, like Bob says. Bob smartly adds on a little extra because we don't know if it includes the sideline or not, right? Am I picking up the Bob line of thinking here?
I actually think it's like 51 yards.
I'm gonna go 150 to. Now that I got Bob to admit what he actually thinks, I'm gonna go 150. I'm gonna go.
Might be 53.
I'm gonna go 150 to 155 just to sneak in. 150 to 155 feet.
Well, I hope it's 156.
But it could be one if the sideline is 3. If the sideline 3 yards on each side or 3 feet on each side, then Bob wins.
All right. Simon said 68 to 82. Bob said 150 to 160. And Coop said 150 to 155.
I think it's just 150.
And we got some guesses in the chat, which is a good reminder. If it's your first time joining us, play along in the chat. We love it. If you get it right, the contestants up here don't. You own the show. It's now your show. You own the company, the show, everything.
And you're the king of Texas.
A lot at stake. And you're the king of Texas.
Wait,
that's a lot at stake.
That's me.
Pending.
No. Pending.
Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Yeah, after you take out Bob, it's it's one of those. It's like it's one of those things where you have to take out the current leader to become the new.
And if you do take him out, you inherit quite a few band shirts.
Oh yeah, and at least one vegetarian shirt.
Minimum.
Well, we got some guesses in the chat. 150 to 200 from Dustin. 150 from Nick. 155 to 162 from Scampers.
That might be right. Scampers might be right.
The actual answer, the width of an NFL field in feet is
80 feet.
160 feet.
God
exactly.
Damn it, Bob.
Bob is going to get this correct. And I mean, he's the only one who had a correct range here, but he's also the smallest range. So that's 3 points for Bob to start off this game. Well done, Bob.
That's my moment of glory.
Bob, I have a feeling you're hustling us. You came in and you're like, oh, not Texas ranges.
Anything but.
Nails it.
Yeah.
Anything but.
All right.
We got-
all right. Now we know what we're
got
playing
better
with. We
Al
know
in
what we're
the chat
dealing with.
said, Bob.
Oh, get those
Hit him with the
flexes up for
flexes.
Bob.
Oh, the strong arms. Better Al,
Strong
baby.
arm,
Are we supposed to have the chat closed?
Yeah. Sure.
Better Al, baby.
I don't know if it matters for this
Strong arm them. All right, cool. Leave it open.
All right. Well done, Bob. That puts you in the lead 3-0. Our next prompt here, Bob, you'll be giving the range first on this one. How much did it cost to build MetLife Stadium?
Oh, dear God.
It's between 11.7 and a kabillion. So I'm going to go.
My favorite numbers. Typed in 11.7
No.
for no reason.
1.1 billion to 1.5 billion.
1.1 billion to 1.5 billion. Simon.
Me?
You're up next.
Okay. I'm gonna say 2 to 4 billion.
2 to 4 billion.
I know that. When was this one built? This a recent one. I know that SoFi is one of the most expensive structures in the world. It's like when you go on the list on Wikipedia, it's like top 10. It can't be that far off from where that one is. I want to say this one was between 3 and 5 billion. I want to overlap Simon, but I think it's higher than we're all thinking.
3 and 5 billion. So Bob, you gave 1.1 to 1.5. Simon, oh man, I messed this so up. Why did I ask Simon next?
That's why I said me.
That makes sense. Yeah, now that you say that. Simon gave 3. Oh shoot, I messed even that up.
I gave 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Coop gave 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
All right, 3 to 5 for Coop, 2 to 4 for. And we got some guests in the chat. 1.5 to 1.7 from Hal, 2 to 4 from Ladarius, 2 to 3 billion from Dustin, 2 to 3 billion from Joey 2. The actual answer on this one is 2 billion.
On the dot. Okay.
On the dot. Simon.
Oh wait. What was the rule? Is it more than double or double?
That's a good point. It is.
Oh wait, my range is only 2 billion, not 4 billion. I'm an idiot. So we're
good. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
I got confused by the 4 billion upper
But
limit.
it would be more than double.
Math is hard at 8:11 a.m.
Yes. It is. Simon, this is going to put you tied at first with Bob here, 3 to 0.
Here we go.
Come on,
I'm
guys.
coming.
Well done.
I forgot
Bob.
Simon in the same time zone, so we're both equally confused. I don't know what a billion is either, so I was at a distinct disadvantage here.
Yeah, I hate that central time when I'm factoring in currency. Bob, what has been your favorite NFL stadium to go to?
Here in Dallas is pretty phenomenal. The house that Jerry built is pretty damn cool. So I'll go with that because I was there for a Super Bowl. I mean, there's some of them are really amazing though. Some of the newer ones, Minnesota's phenomenal. I mean, there's a lot of cool ones, but I'm gonna go with Dallas because it is. Except for the sun. Why did you put the windows on that side, Jerry? What the hell's the matter with you?
Feels like a landscape architect would have been able to figure that out.
I don't know.
Man, what about Simon and Coop? I'm curious. What are your guys' favorite stadiums you've been to?
I actually haven't been to too many NFL stadiums. I've been to Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, but not for a Falcons game, for an Atlanta United game. I've been to the old one down in Miami. But I think I'm going to go with the new Mercedes-Benz. And part of the reason I like it is Arthur Smith owns both the Falcons and Atlanta United. Or Arthur Blanks, sorry, the Home Depot guy. And he did such a good job of making that stadium for United not feel like they're playing in the Falcons stadium. And for the Falcons not feeling like.
And he's gone.
And he's gone. That's all
Very
right.
cool, dude.
Oh, and now he's back.
And now it's back, dude.
Coop, what about you? What's your favorite stadium?
So my favorite stadium, maybe I had a great experience when I went to Arizona and went to their stadium there. And I love the idea that they can have this thing out in the desert that is, inhospitable landscape, and you go inside and it's just nice, it's cool. And they managed to figure out a way to grow grass outside and bring it in. Like they kind of got it all figured out
in the desert.
Though I will say, it can be a bit when you sit like up in the because we were sitting pretty far back. The whole setup for it can be I had like vertigo. Like there are no bad seats in that house because they go all the way up and you're looking down. But it is wild.
Oh,
it's
I bet
a wild stadium.
Line.
Yeah, but it is cool, man. That's a cool one.
Welcome back, Simon.
Thanks.
It was like he was hardly gone.
It's like he wasn't. It's like it was never here.
It was like, and by the way, the big Metallica show coming to the house that Jerry built August, I believe my ticket says August 18th or so. Two shows. So 2 different shows. Metallica, totally different set list, totally different opening bands, acts, and so it's going to be a phenomenal time.
Are you doing both?
Yeah, of course.
That's gonna be
So
sick.
it's been a few years. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've seen him since I want to say 2016, 2017. Maybe
Thanks, a pre-pandemic.
Bob, you would hate living here because like, I live in the Boston area because our concert situation. Here's what happens: the bands make their schedule, right, and then they set the best dates for New York City, and they play like Madison Square Garden and all those good venues, and they do that on like a Saturday, and then they're always like, "Oh, while we're up there, why don't we just hit Boston?" And then they come here on like a Wednesday, or you know what I mean, or like a Tuesday. So it's like all the good bands they do make their way here, but it's almost always like, all right, let's schedule New York. And then as an afterthought, we'll go play Boston and we'll play, out in Worcester for, it's just like
so many shows here. So, I mean, I think like Alter Bridge is coming this weekend. I know I've got the Mastodon Gojira show coming in April, got Godsmack coming. There's a lot of things coming up here.
That's awesome.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's
it'd be nice if for one time we got the concert on Saturday and then they went to New York on a Wednesday. That's
always
what
the bridesmaid, never the bride.
That's what I mean. Right?
All right, guys, let's get into our next Texas Rangers prompt here. Coop, you will be giving your range first on this one. Your prompt is: how many fantasy football teams were created on ESPN this past season?
Oh, I have not even a frame of reference.
Great googly
Fantasy
moogly.
football teams were created on ESPN Fantasy in 2022.
So when you say created, like brand new ones, or just like the total accounts? Like if you had a league there for like 10 years, is that included?
Teams, not leagues, right?
So fantasy football teams, and I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take this as how many teams were there? How many people were playing in this past season? Which I think it's a lot. I'll say it's between maybe like 10 and 30 million people.
10 and 30 million people. Simon, you're up next.
Okay, there are multiple platforms, but I do feel like ESPN is the most popular one. I'm going to go a little bit higher than Coop here, I think, and I'm going to go 15 to 25 million.
15 to 25 mil. All right, Bob.
I think like 10 million of those are mine. So, no, I'm gonna. So I feel like I've heard this number, but it's just totally eluding me right now. I'm gonna probably go 10 to 20.
10 to 20 million. Oh, all right. We got a nice, precise
The old undercut.
The old undercut. We got Simon with 15 to 25 million, 10 to 20 million from Bob, and 10 to 30 million from Coop. Dustin said 10 to 25 million. Joey said 120 to 150 million.
No.
Considerably higher.
Bob said no.
No.
That'd be great. Joey. That'd be great for the industry.
Joey, stop.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Ladarius said 13 to 17 million, and House at 17 million to 23 million.
That 13 to 17 might be pretty good.
That's pretty solid. The actual answer: how many fantasy football teams were created on ESPN Fantasy in 2022? The answer is 17.6 million teams. 17.6 million.
So we're all in the range.
All of you are in the range. Let's see. Bob has 10 million. Simon has 10 million. And so, Bob and Simon are going to each get 3 points. And Coop, you were going to get 1 point. Correct.
Yeah. That's my first point of the day. So I'll take it.
And Hal and Ladarius both with smaller ranges than us and getting it in there, if I'm not mistaken. You said 17 million, right, Jay?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, 17.6 million.
That felt
sorry.
good.
Sorry, Ladarius. 17.6. Play that ant sounder on Ladarius.
Sorry, Ladarius. So close, yet so far.
Even though I was way off.
You were definitely the most off out of everyone on this stream.
Got it more right
This
than
is going to
Ladarius.
give Simon and Bob 3 points each, bringing it to 6 to 1. Coop. This is Simon or Bob's game.
I got one.
It's anybody's game.
Ladarius said, "I hate it here."
It's everybody's game. It's everybody's game. Everybody's game except me and Ladarius.
Except you and Ladarius, yeah. All right, guys, let's get into our next prompt here. This is a good one. I like this one. How many hair follicles does the average human body have? How many hair follicles does the average human body have? And I believe, Simon, you're going first on this one.
Just taking shots at Bob Jail in the middle of a
It's
freaking
like
show like this.
gratuitous, man.
Blame it
Bob's
on
like,
Keith.
let me count.
Totally gratuitous.
Blame it on Keith.
Bring in
Jail
the
starts
average.
reading, and Bob immediately goes and starts rubbing his
Yeah.
head like,
Oh,
it doesn't
man.
feel.
Bringing the average
This
down.
is
Wait.
disgusting to think about. The idea that I have to think about the follicle and not just the hair and where it
Don't-
enters the head is so
Don't
gross.
like that.
I don't know. So many. Like, I feel like, did you guys ever read West Side or Sideways Stories from Wayside School?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure in that book they quoted specifically how many hairs are on the human head because there was a kid that could count them. He could count everything. And if I had remembered that book a little bit better, I could have known it. So I'm going to go with, man, this could be anything. 200,000 to 300,000.
200,000,
Oh, it's got to be way more.
300,000.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Bob.
at. I got 200,000 on my left arm.
I think he said head. Right?
Was it head?
Nope. How many hair follicles does the average human body have?
Ah.
Smoked.
I'm gonna say 5 to 10 million.
5 to 10 million. All right, Coop.
I think it's gonna be like a crazy amount. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with 5. I'm gonna go with 10 to 30 million.
10 to 30 million. So we got 200 to 300,000 from Simon, 5 to 10 million from Bob, and 10 to 30 million from Coop.
This happens every time I go first.
Honestly, I thought it might be 50 million. I feel like I'm like
You know-
totally undershot.
Exactly. Like
I think it's like
These
a
are the questions.
ridiculous number.
once it's said though, whatever is said is gonna sound like it was right the whole time. But in
Yep.
my mind, it could be anything.
Yeah, 100%. And we got Dustin in the chat said 3 to 6 million. Nick said 10 to 20 million.
Nick.
Ladarius said 3 to 7 million. Joey said 12 to 15,000.
Me and Joey, we're on the
You and
we're on the
Joey.
lower end.
Yeah.
He's clearly looking at me.
All right. The actual number. Oh, and I'm sorry, I missed one. Hal said 150 to 230 million. So considerably higher. The number of hair follicles the average human body has is 5 million.
Oh, Bob.
5 million. So Bob, once again, you're gonna
Got
get
it,
3
dude.
points on this one. Coop shot a little too high. Simon
Way too high.
considerably too low.
Hey, you take your shots and sometimes you miss.
Take your shots.
An air ball, an air ball is still a taking shot.
A hairball? What?
I
I think. Hold on a second.
Damn it, Bob.
I'm adjusting my game rankings here. Moving Texas Rangers up ahead of.
and that you're in the lead. 9 to 6 to 1. Bob with his dominant performance.
Impressive.
Impressive. And Ladarius got that one. Let's go, Ladarius. You got it. Second one's charm.
Okay, okay, Ladarius, you're back, baby.
And we got Dame in the chat said, "Whoa, Bob. Good
Hey,
morning,
Dame.
all. What up,
What up,
Dame?
Dame?
Welcome, man.
Damn, what up?
I feel like this has been like a total win because I didn't have to do any math. Like 17 years times 3,000. You know.
Oh, those ones get you.
Yes, it's the math
They do.
that gets me. It's not my strength.
Well, Bob, I think you're gonna like this next one, and you're
Okay.
getting the first range.
All right.
How many rushing yards did the Eagles have in 2022, Bob?
Eagles 2022.
I knew this exact number and I can't pull
2,500 to 3,500.
2,500 to 3,500. All right. Coop.
I'm gonna go. I need a smaller range than Bob, and I need to be right. So I'm gonna go 3,000 to 3,700.
3,000 to 3,700, correct?
I sure hope so.
Simon.
I'm gonna say 2,900 to 3,200.
Oh, you
2,900 to 3,200.
Somebody knows.
It's got to be right. I don't. That is the confidence of someone who's just taking a shot.
Joey said 2,300 to 2,500. Dustin adding an extra one to the end. There's 2,300 to 2,600.
Uh-oh.
The actual number The amount of rushing yards the Eagles had in 2022 is 2,509.
Damn. Nice,
2,509.
Bob.
Once again, with the wreckage, adding an additional 3 points, all but securing victory in this one. 12-6-1.
I'm feeling.
I believe in you.
I'm on tilt, so I'm just like I'm like, oh, I have to go smaller ranges, or I have to have an answer they don't have. I'm gonna just focus on being right going forward.
Bob, speaking of the rushing yards for the Eagles, Bob, I'm curious, how do you feel about this Rashad Penny signing? Is this positive for you? Do you have any interest in Rashad Penny for fantasy next year?
No, not really. Minimal. Like, there comes a point where everyone has value. I'm not going to be dismissive, but coming off the injury, I don't know. I feel like Kenneth Gainwell kind of gaining traction there. I guess we were all like, we were hoping for and not expecting a bigger move. You hear the Derrick Henry's available. There, that, and no, not that. So I guess this is a little bit of a letdown. Maybe as it settles in, I'll be more interested. I want to check his health. I'm sure he'll be fine, but that's been an issue.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got at least. You guys want to do one more prompt?
Let's get one more in there.
Yeah, let's get one more in.
All right. Coop, you are giving the first range on this one. How much money did the Dallas Cowboys spend on player expenses this past season?
Player expenses. So this is something I've never seen a figure for. So I'm just blindly guessing. It's got to be in the millions, Player expenses probably includes like food and all that stuff. They got I know they got like a barber shop over there. They got tons of stuff going on. So
yeah, Metallica shows there.
Yeah, Metallica shows. I don't know if the players get cheap. Players get comped to the Metallica shows.
That'll be ridiculous.
Yeah, I learned from Michael Irvin that they have a barbershop right on campus there. How about? I would guess $10 to $20 million.
$10 to $20 million, Simon.
I'm gonna say a little bit higher, and I'm gonna say $21 to $27 million.
21 to 27 million, and Bob.
27 to 30 million.
27 to 30
million. I'm going for the glory at the end. If this is in Bob's range, we're never playing Texas Rangers with him again.
Yeah, this is the last time you'll ever play Texas Rangers.
I can't possibly be right on this one.
We'll figure out what you're not good at, and we'll bring you in for that.
Can't possibly be right on this one.
House says 600 million to 667 million, considerably higher than you guys. The actual answer is 297 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great Googling.
Factor of 10.
We'll find that on the
that is
on the cap
wild, dude. 200 million.
So Bob, you're going to win this game 12-6-0 by double the score of your opponents.
I feel very fortunate here.
Speech.
This is like when you do the Jeopardy or you do whatever, and you like watching 100 Jeopardies and you know every answer, and then the Jeopardy you come on, zero answers.
Yeah, it's always how it works. Yeah,
right. And so this was the opposite of that.
The opposite. Where you come in, you're fearing the game, and then I think it's like that.
Natural.
You're like Patrick Mahomes. You had to wait on the sideline and watch us Alex Smith this game around for a bunch of weeks, and then you come in and you're like, oh, this is easy. 50 touchdowns. Can we get a little music for Bob to celebrate his team too? Yeah,
Bob Harris, congratulations! Your Coles Cash is in the fax waves.
I feel like
Bob, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend.
Man, Bob.
Everybody watching, if you're not already following Bob on Twitter, go and fix that immediately. Truly, you're doing yourself a disservice by not following him. He's on Twitter at Football Diehard. Bob, thank you so much again, my friend, and congrats on the W this morning.
Thanks, fellas. Can't wait to do it again.
King of Texas, everybody. Talk to you later, Bob.
King of Texas.
The King of Texas.
Okay, so joining us up next, we've got Alex Korf, a.k.a. Peakton High School, a.k.a. the Trade Daddy himself, to talk some trade values. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop.
Sell me on doing away with the two-conference system in the NFL.
Is it really a sale whenever this is something that's commonly agreed upon? I'm selling you on water being wet. I'm selling you on something that is objectively true right here. We look at teams at the end of the season and we go, how the hell does one team have such an easy schedule while another team is just absolutely getting obliterated? And that's because of the 2-conference system, because the division system feeds into this conference system. It's a symptom of the greater problem. Like these divisional matchups, you're telling me it's fair that the Buccaneers are in the playoffs after playing the Panthers twice, the Falcons twice, and the Saints twice this year? That is unbelievable. There are multiple more deserving teams every single year that, because of this system where we silo them into random groups, it determines the order. And yes, originally this was geography based, right? We had these divisions, they were geography. It's 2023, my dudes. Geography doesn't matter whenever it comes to the size of the United States. These teams can travel anywhere. They don't need to geographically locate them in divisions or conferences to make the games make more sense. If USC can be in the Big Ten, why the hell can't Miami play San Francisco every year? It can happen. They've got more money than these colleges and they're not taking classes. All it does is create an ecosystem where less talented teams can get rewarded for playing in weaker divisions and more talented teams are punished for continuing to improve.
Damn, bro.
Drop the mic.
I like to picture some geography teacher out there just threw a pen on the ground. He was like, how dare you? He smacked the globe. He was like, what do you
all
mean?
the hard work we've done.
2023 geography doesn't matter, right? Smacks his
You know
globe.
how long it took for us to get respect?
Globe goes spinning around, right? Geography doesn't matter. How dare
I'm
you?
just imagining they ripped on the world map and underneath is algebra 2. Like they just go straight into being a math teacher.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Paper straws. Oh, they're so bad, Ray. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say screw Mother Earth. Give me a real straw. The paper straw thing is a step too far in saving the planet for me.
It's a great idea. The problem is it has to last. Like it can't go mushy halfway through my drink.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. They have a hard time standing up if you don't drink that.
100%. That's my issue, Ray. I'm all for taking care of the only planet we got. But Ray, some people like to drive a lot. I don't. I don't get on them for they have to drive 20 minutes to work every day. Can I just get a plastic straw? Like, I think, Ray, we should be able to pay for a card that says, I don't drive every day, so they said I could have this kind of environmental impact by getting a plastic straw. I am in favor, Ray, of government-issued plastic straws if I have the proof that I'm worthy of such a thing. If you want it, you get it. It's kind of like the Clear Pass. You know,
Yeah,
the
there you go.
airport.
Okay.
Like, Ray, I'd be willing to pay an extra $2 a year, and I get as many plastic straws as I want when I go out to the restaurant.
And the $2 goes toward cleaning the oceans or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not a terrible idea. Not terrible.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. About to join us right now is our good friend Alex, aka Peaked in High School, aka the Trade Daddy himself. And today we're bringing him up here to talk a little bit about his prospect model that he has released over at Draft Sharks. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend.
Daddy, baby, I got your money. Don't you worry. I said, hey,
My head every single day.
Trade Daddy.
Hey guys. That's my ringtone now. I have that saved.
Get it saved up, dude. What's happening, brother?
Mel's like, please turn that off. Just put it on silent. I'm so sick of hearing it.
Instead of
I mean, I'm a millennial. Whoever takes their phone off of silent, I'm gonna throw that
I
out
don't
there.
know. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I got a smartwatch just so it doesn't even vibrate anymore because I hated that little bit of noise. Like, oh, it's on a desk, it vibrates. I'm sorry, everyone that is within a 30-foot radius from mildly annoying you.
I live in Do Not Disturb.
If
That's my default.
If I ever accidentally take that off, dude, and my phone does make a noise, I immediately think it's like an Amber Alert or something. Like I never
the angler alert.
The angler alert. I'm like, oh, there's fish in the area.
So my favorite thing ever is how excited people between the ages of like 45 and 65. It's a little bit older. I'm gonna say like 55 and 65 get when they change their ringtone to like a song. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah.
And they always hold it up whenever someone's calling you, like, eh?
Yeah, that's the Eagles. Pretty good song, right?
Eagles cover band.
That's cool, Dad. I have friends in low places too, but I hear about it. Like,
I love like watching two old dudes like show each other something on their phone. Like I was watching at the airport, and they were like, "Ready?
Wait, let me get my glasses.
Oh, pictures right on the phone."
And then they get a text message, and it's Darth Vader going. And you're like, what the hell is
They're
that?
like, oh, look, this is a picture of my kid. Nope, that's just the lock screen again.
Nope, lock screen. Has like 70 pictures of the lock screen, and then 2 pictures of the kid. So
Well,
70
Dustin in
like
the chat-
accidental screenshots in the background.
Dustin in the chat's excited you're here, Alex. And Alex, still my guy, even though you are a Chark truther. You're not alone as a Chark truther here on the show. Coop's up there with you.
Yeah, draft shark.
To be fair, the options that I was given when I picked Shark was like OBJ, Adam Thielen. I don't even remember who the other one was. That's how non-consequential.
Don't you back out on me now. Don't you double back. We are at the front.
Yeah.
Shove more coal on that fire. He's about to be the highest paid free agent wide receiver this offseason. You can take that to the bank.
Can you bet on that? Like,
I don't know.
That's got to be somewhere, right?
I mean, the two guys, Jacoby Myers. So basically, Jacoby Myers and Alan Lazard both got $11 million a year. What? I think Chark and Juju, they could surpass that. We're gonna have to see.
We're gonna have to see. Well, Alex, usually we're talking about your trade charts, but today we wanted to talk a little bit about your prospect model. I've been looking at this as we're trying to gauge the talent level of these rookies pre-NFL draft, put together some rankings, figure out who's going to show up in the NFL. You want to tell us a little bit about how you came to these numbers, what this chart means, and how we should use it?
Sure. So a lot of people are really good at watching film and being able to know what they see, right? And I am not, the eye test. I am not one of those people. That's okay. I know my strength. I am good at numbers.
I also wouldn't. I would say a lot of people think they're good at it. That's where.
Yeah, that's true too. So what I wanted to do was to model or prospect through data instead and look at it at a different approach. So I wanted to break it down in 3 different categories. We have the analytics, how productive they were in college for their position versus their backfield, how athletic they looked like in the combine compared to everyone that's been in the combine since 2003, because that's the data set we have. And then lastly, how did they look on film to people that are actually film people? Normalize that scale. People like Greg, I'm going to say his last name wrong. No, Lance Z something.
Oh, yeah, for NFL.
Yeah, right. So he's good at it. So take his values, normalize them to the same scale, take PFF values, normalize them, all the film values I can find, normalize them, and then look for outliers. Apply a scale, apply weight factors, and look at film, analytics, college production, athleticism to try and prospect that way to pick out who is good at what, and then how people agree. So that's how I did it. So I wanted to look at all the relevant offense players. I also have been working on the defense side as well, but not that many people want to talk about IDP.
Shout out
careful. Shout out Craig. Shout out Jordan Luke.
Yeah, no, like, and then Matt with Draft Sharks, he's the same reason that I'm doing it. He's like, hey, why don't you do this? I'm like, it's not that much work. Like, if it helps you, I'll do it. But I don't want people to fall asleep.
I love
that's fair.
The defensive player side thing. That's part of why I love free agency, because I do the free agent tracker, and I know a lot of players, but you're never going to know all of them. So it's always interesting. And I'm like, who's this guy? And I'm like, oh, he got $50 million. That guy must be pretty good. That guy must be pretty good. Yeah. And then I'm like, I care so much about Rashad Penny, and it's like he got $1 million. He got $1.3 million. And there's this other guy. I'm like, oh yeah, so and so got $77 million to play defense or whatever. You know, like fantasy football does do that to us.
I was going to say, and we're about to talk about rookie offensive players. It's what we're doing here. The very first thing that stands out on this chart to me, Alex, is the blue. The big blue right there next to Bijan Robinson. He's the only one marked elite, and his model score is at 9.05. Next highest being 8.81. Bryce Young, quarterback, even cross position. Can you put into context kind of like what does a 9.05 mean? Is it rare to reach that? Are we going to have someone who reaches that elite status in every class?
So the model breaks down generational is 10 to 9.5. No one this year, no one even close this year. Barkley probably would have been generational if we had enough data to go back that far. I don't go quite that far, but usually there's going to be maybe one elite player. Like last year, there were some wide receivers that looked really good that were probably bumping up on it. But most people a lot of the time on the offensive side are going to hang out in the very good, exciting, because we aren't looking at the people that are projected to go lower. I truncated those. No one really cares if someone's a 5.75. They're going to be on special teams probably. So we're really on the outward facing information. That's what we're looking at here. I was kind of surprised when we did it that they only came up with one elite prospect this year. I thought Bryce Young would be there, and I thought, that's the only one that I thought that might get close. Everyone else was good, very good prospect wise.
So I think let's take this like even back a step here. A rookie model. What actually is that? What are the inputs? How is that any different than just looking at analytics and making decisions here?
Yeah, so it's mostly just looking at them in terms of other people who have done it before. So it's kind of the same and just breaking it down to a single number. The athleticism score is pretty easy. It's just looking at how they compared to people that play the position that tested before them at the combine. If they don't have combine data, we use their pro day or whatever data, or they're like estimated, and then put a big asterisk next to it. And then usually, for some reason, everyone runs faster at their pro day. So we take, I think I saw that you take like or 0.05 seconds or something off of it, right? So that's why some people
that's our player profile does that, and I think that's the way to do it. You're right.
Yeah, because I mean, you could just go through and just do a study, and I'm sure they did, and they're just like, like,
around there.
Yeah. So it gives them and the way you can also sort this is looking at who is the most athletic person at their position coming into the class. So you can't see my spreadsheet, but when I do that, shockingly, Anthony Richardson is the most athletic person. The guy who literally broke the combine. Next, Darnell Washington. I mean, a guy that, once again, athletic freak. And then we're looking at Jalen Hyatt. I'm not good at names. Jalen, the guy out of Tennessee.
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
Hotel name.
Hotel name. And Quentin Johnston. Those are like the four top. But the difference between Anthony Richardson versus the rest of them is Anthony Richardson is a freak. The rest of them are very good.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson, I'm seeing at 0.98, and I'm guessing that's on a scale of 1. That's about as athletic as you can score on this chart.
Yeah. And I think let me look at it. If you don't round it, I'm going to add some more zeros. Oh, no, 0.980. Sorry. That's it. It didn't round down.
It was already there.
Yeah.
So let's take Anthony Richardson and dig into him a little bit more. So he got an 8.04 on the model score. The top score there in that column is 9.05. He got a 0 on the agreement factor. What does agreement factor correspond to?
Sure. So I look at that as a flag. I'm looking at effectively the variance across all of the metrics that I'm pulling to see, does everyone look the same? Does everyone agree? Right. And then, or do they not? And then I put it on a scale of 0 to 5. So being at 0 is bad. That means
like
something
people are not coalescing around a similar like group consensus idea around him. There's wildly varying opinions is essentially what that means.
Not necessarily film or people, but something in his profile is weird. And in this case, his athleticism is off the charts, and it didn't correlate to his production in college. And that's the biggest, there's a big gap there. Some of his film scores were kind of mixed as well. And it meant that no one agreed on what the hell this guy's going to do when he gets to the NFL. So it's maybe kind of an indicator of the uncertainty around what they can do. But for example, the most agreed upon would be Cedric Tillman. He has an agreement factor of 5. Everyone agrees that he is fine. That's it.
An example from last year would be Sky Moore. Like everyone agreed. Everyone was like, he's Golden Tate. Right. And he's going to have a role in the NFL, but the ceiling's not super high, but the floor is pretty medium. So like everybody on Sky Moore was just like, cool. That was like the general consensus. So you'd say that Cedric Tillman could potentially be the guy that everyone this year is just like, if he goes in the second round, everyone's going to be like, sure.
Sounds good. I'll take a Cedric Tillman.
Yeah. So I'm down for that. I mean, the thing is, when you get the high variance guys, it can either be really good or it can be really bad. Like, the really good version, DK Metcalf. The really bad version, maybe Hakeem Butler.
Ronald Jones
is, he's such a good example that it's upsetting to people to hear his name at times. But I mean, Rashad Penny, another one, went in the first. People weren't super high on him. Then he went in the first round, and people were high on him. And then throughout his career, it's been up and down, where he looks awesome at times, looks terrible other times, gets hurt. It's kind of all over the place. So it's good to have models like this that can tell you what you're getting into to a certain degree. It's like, hey, this guy's high in the model. Just know that this is a high risk, high reward pick versus some of the other ones. If the agreement score is good, then it's maybe a little safer.
A name that really stands out to me on this one is Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I feel like has been touted as one of the top wide receiver prospects, but it doesn't seem like he's getting that type of respect in your model, Alex. What do you think is the reason for that?
So the college production model has some limitations where it looks at kind of your whole production. And since his junior year was terrible, I mean, he was hurt, right? It's not really his fault. And then the couple of games he did show up, he was more than likely playing hurt, but they still show up as games. So it brings his overall production down. So he's relatively low on the production model, even though he had an insane sophomore year. And then on top of that, a couple of the film scores, like PFF wasn't super high on him. I even normalized that over, like if you look at just his 2022 information, they were really low on him because he was playing hurt. But his 2021 was still not amazing. So even if you look at the game normalized PFF data, as well as I'm going to say his name wrong, NFL guy, they weren't super high on him either. They were pretty limited. I'm going to say Zerline. Nope, that's the kicker.
That is the kicker.
Lance Zerline. Is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Lance Zerline is a very well-respected NFL guy, especially for ranking wide receiver prospects and prospects in general.
And he has a lot of weight in the model. Like I pull his.
Well, he's very good. He's very good.
Yes. So it leads to his really low agreement factor. He tested really well at the combine compared to what I think at least some of the buzz I heard was anticipating him not to be insane, but I don't know, was it the 3-cone and some of the other ones were just off the charts?
He didn't do the 40. And that's the whole thing, is that people thought his 40 wasn't going to be good. Then he didn't do it. But I'll tell you, I used to be the guy that says run the 40, compete. But after what happened with Kyron Williams last year, now I'm like, maybe some of these guys better off not running the 40. Like there's three rankings. There's confirmed fast, which is very good. Then there's confirmed slow, which is the worst possible one. Some of these guys are probably better off being unconfirmed, right? Like if he knows he's going to be slow, just let people use their imagination.
Look at his tape.
For example, Addison, who ran the combine or ran it in what like 4.54 something. I mean, it was a fine time.
It was okay.
Jordan Addison was a wide receiver out of USC.
Yeah, but he ran at 170 pounds. Or something, I mean, insanely small. Like he was in the 3 percentile for size. It destroyed his athleticism score because they had a projected before where they were estimating him to be better than that. So he was probably the biggest faller in the model because he was a lot higher going into it. It took a minute to update it post combine.
So now with your prospect model, do you plan to update this, or you should just take what we have now and we're ready to rock and roll?
I mean, it's no model's ever done. You're always going to
but like before the draft, do you plan to update it again at some point? Because that's the okay.
I might if the people that didn't test at the combine will watch their pro days and see if their numbers, if we can add more to their. The only thing that I think can readily change is their athletic score. If we get more data, right, like where they fit in.
Yeah, college production is not going to change.
That's true.
Maybe agreement.
Because agreement, well, that's the thing is, I guess agreement, that's the one thing that I think would change, which is why I was wondering. But I don't know, like at this point, if you were, what I would love to see is the agreement score, how it changes before and after the combine, right? Like, because, you have people that, are high on guys, and then the combine happens. Are they actually changing their mind? And Hakeem Butler with the draft is a perfect example where there were people that were so high on Hakeem Butler, had him as their wide receiver 1 or a top 3 wide receiver. Then he slid to the 4th round. And what I saw is a lot of fantasy analysts, half of them said, okay, I got to move him down. A bunch of people said, I'm not moving this guy down. And they left him at 2 or 3 or whatever, or even just moved him to 5. And if you had him as wide receiver 5, then you were drafting him in your fantasy draft, right? So I like to see with models like this, if possible, how does the combine shift it? How does the NFL draft shift it? But since you did it after the combine, we're probably not going to get any new data. So there's really no reason to do it again, right?
Yep. The NFL draft will absolutely shake it up because I wouldn't even take this as like this wouldn't be my rookie. Like I'm not taking Hendon Hooker that high. Yeah, he's 25. He's coming off an ACL. But I am going to look at him when you're in the third round in your super flex, and you're like, well, I don't really like anyone else. Maybe you take it's more of an indicator, right? Like we will still publish rookie rankings, and this will be a piece of that. But like at the end of the day, it's a piece, like right?
It's a benchmark.
We're objective.
Yeah, something to look at, measure against relative to other measurements.
It's like I looked at this chart that you put out here, Alex, and it goes Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young, 2 names I expected to be at the top. And the third name is Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee, which a lot of people's like pre-draft rookie rankings don't even have him as a top 5 wide receiver, top 6, top 7 even. Like he's down there in the middle range of these incoming class. I have not spent a lot of time looking at this dude's tape or looking at his college numbers. Like I'm aware of him, of his name, but this chart's signaling to me that maybe I need to go dive in a little bit deeper, take a bigger look at that, because if he's scoring that highly on this model, his athletic score crazy, his analytic AVG is up there as well. Maybe this is a guy I need to go check out a little bit more.
Yeah, he's the one that pops out to me as well, because his ADP is 14th overall or something. I think I saw like he's going in the top of the second round, which is in 12-team rookies mocks right now. But like you said, his production was really high. I mean, we saw what he had just insane games, right? Like he exploded, but all he ran was fast, and he ran. So can he do more? I guess is the real question. Lance liked him a lot, and that props up. He is his wide receiver 1 in the class. So that's part.
Sorry, his wide receiver 1 is who again?
Jalen.
Yes. And we have Charles from our chat was preaching. He was all year. He was saying this guy Jalen Hyatt, like just popping in to be like Jalen Hyatt. Part of it's he's a big Tennessee fan, so he was plugged in. But Hyatt's good, and I think Cedric Tillman also went to Tennessee. So we're gonna find out whether these wide receivers are awesome, or maybe Hendon Hooker is awesome, or maybe they're all awesome.
Everybody's awesome.
We're gonna see. Dustin said he liked what he heard from Hendon Hooker at the combine. So maybe your model is on something there.
And Dustin asking, Alex, what's the best thing you've made in the air fryer so far?
I made some biscuits from scratch right after Dustin said to go buy some from the store. It was super easy. It was flour, a little bit of baking soda, no baking powder, salt. I threw in some garlic to make them kind of like the Red Lobster ones. And then you have to use cold butter. You have to use really cold butter and like shave it into it. But I mean, just excellent biscuits. And I've just made chicken every single day. So,
dude, how is that not your like kryptonite? Aren't you big into no carb, or you eat low carb?
I did keto for 3 years, and I quit doing it this summer. So
it's fine.
We're going back the other way.
Welcome back to pasta.
Yeah, welcome back to heaven.
Honestly, I'm a little upset. There's less for me now.
Yeah, you're taking away mine. Dozens of Hayden Hurst to the Panthers. I haven't confirmed that.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
We'll give him this. Hey, if they don't bring in wide receivers, the opportunity
he could be the new Calvin Benjamin.
Are you kidding me? Terrace Marshall, Laviska Shenault, like this. But you're gonna say he's gonna beat out one of those 2 guys in targets?
He could,
right?
Man.
Good luck.
Yes.
What if they? But what if? Yeah,
I'm not giving up on Terrace Marshall.
I'm not either. But I mean, just saying, ball got to go somewhere. With Terrace Marshall, I look at it and it's like, okay, they brought in Joe Brady. Joe Brady brought in Terrace Marshall. Joe Brady and Matt Rule disagreed to the point where Joe Brady was fired in his first season. Maybe it should have been Matt Rule that was fired, and Joe Brady's the guy they should have kept. So we could be living in a world where it was Joe Brady and Terrace Marshall, sunshine and rainbows and fantasy goodness. So I don't know. I still kind of like the narrative.
I'm all right with it. Alex, before we hit the end of the show, I did want to touch on one other prospect here. The one that has been reported to be the #1 overall pick going into this draft, and that's CJ Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. Rumors are now that that's the Panthers' preferred pick. He's behind Hendon Hooker and Bryce Young in this model. And the number that stands out immediately, there's two, his agreement factor and then his athleticism score. And I'm guessing this is kind of the reverse Anthony Richardson, where his athleticism is pretty low, but his college production is very high. And that causes the disagreement, or am I misreading this?
No, that's exactly right. His college production, I mean, he was shockingly very good in college, right? but he tested middle to like he was in the average level of athleticism was his biggest issue, and his film was fine. It was kind of like it didn't. There was much higher. Like the two guys that really tested on film on the quarterback were Young, and then let's see who's the other one. No, Hooker was lower. Yeah, I mean that's it. It's really like just kind of not great, but that threw his agreement factor way low. Was that his athleticism was pretty low.
That makes sense. And so is that really what's driving his value down, you think, is that lack of athleticism, and then it's feeding into the agreement factor?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I would still absolutely take him above most of those people, right? Like,
yeah.
But it's interesting. It's something to look at when you go to prospecting.
And the great thing is if you go to Draft Shark now, you'll have this, which is your analytical model, and then you guys also brought in Herms, right? CH Herms, and he's a film guy, right? Like he's deep film guy, good friend of the show. So you're going to get the best of both worlds. Anybody that pops over there.
Yeah, Herms is breaking down the running backs, and he went really in depth. He has film breakdowns showing you. Kevin's working on the tight ends. He's kind of a quiet guy, but he's good at tight ends and quarterbacks. And then we have Jared's on the wide receivers in between rounds of golf because he's somewhere playing golf. So
beautiful.
Add him on Twitter. Tell him to quit working and to golf some more. So
nice.
Add him on Twitter.
Sounds like you got it all over there.
Yeah.
They got everything. Well, I've been making a list of players here that your model just makes stand out immediately that I'm going to go watch some film on today. So, Dale, I hope you didn't need anything from me because I'm going to be diving into some Jalen Hyatt film, see just how fast that man can run. Alex, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come up and talk through some of your draft prospect model with us today. We really appreciate it, my friend.
Stay tuned. I'll keep tweeting out some cool things that when I see it, and then you guys can take a look at these prospects a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah. And guys, go follow Alex on Twitter at PeaktonHS_FF if you want to see all the cool things he's putting out. Because he's so deep in the numbers, he's finding cool information that can help you in your leagues all the freaking time. So go follow Alex at PeaktonHS_FF. Alex, thank you so much, my friend.
Trey, appreciate you.
Maybe I got your mind.
Well, guys, that is going to be it for the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show on today, March 15th, 2023, a Wednesday, my dudes. We'll be back tomorrow morning and every other day this week, next week, and every foreseeable week until we get fired from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time right here on the Bettor Sports Network app or over on our YouTube channel, Front Yard Fantasy. Make sure you stick around here next, though. We've got Moose and Keith coming up, and you're not going to want to miss that. Until tomorrow morning, though, we're out of here. Everyone enjoy your Wednesday. Get your brackets in, and we will see you bright and early in the manana.